Chapter 378. Zhou Xiaoming, let go of me. Let go. N. Being hugged tightly by Ning Fan in front of so many people, Bei Xiaoman's face was filled with embarrassment and anger even though they had intimate contact before. However, the more she struggled, the tighter Ning Fan hugged her, as if he was purposely bullying her. Then he stealthily moved his finger and caressed a sensitive spot on Bei Xiaoman's waist. Bei Xiaoman's body went numb, and she let out a soft moan. Then, she felt so ashamed that she wanted to die. Fortunately, the cultivators at the scene only thought that Bei Xiaoman was moaning because she was hurt. They did not know that her sensitive areas had been touched. Otherwise, Bei Xiaoman would go crazy on the spot. You shameless! Bei Xiaoman had a grudge, but she could not say it out loud. She did not dare to say that she was touched by Ning Fan in front of so many people. Yes, he was the most shameless person in the world. I hate him the most. But why was she so happy when he came to save her? Bei Xiaoman's mind was in a mess. Then, she remembered how powerful Shimen Yi was and her face turned pale. Zhou Xiaoming, hurry up and leave. He's very powerful. I know. Ning Fan gently let go of Bei Xiaoman and shielded her behind him. Then, he wiped away the bloodstain on her lips with the tip of his finger, causing her face to turn red with embarrassment. Before he made his move, Ning Fan had already sensed that Shimen Yi was extraordinary. This Shimen Yi was just a clone of his, but it possessed the strength of a half-step void refinement realm expert. Even if the true body of this person is not at the peak void refinement realm, it should at least be at the void fragmentation realm. If Shimen Yi is just an ordinary half-step void refinement realm expert, Ning Fan was confident that he could put up a fight against him. However, Shimen Yi possessed void fragmentation realm combat awareness. His true combat power was probably at the void refinement realm. Saving Bei Xiaoman would only bring him trouble. However, before he could clearly weigh the pros and cons, his body had already involuntarily flashed out. When Bei Xiaoman was in danger, he stood in front of her. Perhaps it was for Yuan Yao's sake. Perhaps this was his responsibility as the Tower Master of the Lost World Tower. Perhaps it was a joking mistress relationship with Bei Xiaoman. Perhaps it was because he did not want anyone other than himself to bully Bei Xiaoman. As long as I'm here, you won't be able to take her away. Ning Fan's tone was flat, but his aura was not any weaker than Shimen Yi's. He would not be frightened by Shimen Yi. Even if the true body of Shimen Yi came, he would still have the same attitude. He had offended many void fragmentation realm old monsters. Shimen Yi acted as if he had heard something hilarious. He gave the three-peak divine transformation realm experts beside him a meaningful glance. Then he closed his eyes lazily, waiting for Ning Fan's blood to splash 3 feet high. Immediately, the three-peak divine transformation realm experts understood what Ning Fan meant. Each of them let out a cold smirk and turned into 3 wisps of smoke to attack Ning Fan. Despicable. Seeing Ning Fan being attacked by 3-peak divine transformation realm experts, Bei Xiaoman's expression immediately changed. The members of the Shimen clan were quite proficient in joint attacks. The combined strength of the 3-peak divine transformation realm experts was almost comparable to that of ordinary half-step void refinement realm experts. Moreover, the 3 of them were cultivators from the upper world. Their techniques were much stronger than revered Yen from the lower world. Thus, Bei Xiaoman was naturally worried that Ning Fan would be at a disadvantage. Shimen Yi slightly closed his eyes, clearly thinking that victory was already in his grasp. From his point of view, if they were only dealing with a mid-divine transformation realm cultivator, even if that mid-divine transformation realm cultivator's combat power was comparable to a half-step void refinement realm cultivator, he would certainly not be able to withstand the ruthless attacks of his 3 servants. Scram! Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He took a step forward, and a wave of majestic sword chi spread out, engulfing the main hall. Before the 3-peak divine transformation realm experts could get close to Ning Fan, they were forced out of their bodies by the powerful force of the sword. Immediately, their chests felt as if they had suffered a heavy blow. All of them were sent flying backwards while coughing out blood. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. Immortal trapping sword intent. Moreover, it's even a grand accomplishment sword intent. The 3 of them had killed countless divine transformation realm experts by joining hands. However, they could not even get close to Ningfan's body. Just by saying scram, and taking a single step like a sword, the three of them were sent flying backwards while coughing out blood. Even Shimen Ye's expression turned slightly grim. He immediately realized that Ningfan was not a mid-divine transformation realm cultivator, like the information he received. Instead, he was a genuine peak divine transformation realm cultivator. Peak divine transformation realm? A peak divine transformation realm cultivator, whose bone age is less than 500 years? His aptitude is indeed extraordinary. However, you have to understand that in this world, you can't reach the peak just by relying on your aptitude. In my eyes, you're just an ant. When one's cultivation base reaches a certain level, aptitude would no longer be the most important. Without a strong background and the support of countless cultivation resources, breaking through to the void fragmentation realm, life immortal realm and true immortal realm would be completely unrealistic. In Shimen Ye's eyes, Ningfan was just a junior with average aptitude. After all, Shimen Ye's true body had already attained the void fragmentation realm. In the four heavens, he was one of the few geniuses of this generation. As for Ningfan, he was just at the peak divine transformation realm. It was still unknown whether he could attain the void refinement realm, or the void fragmentation realm. Aptitude did not mean everything. You kill him. Shimen Ye signaled to an elderly man in silver robes beside him. That elderly man immediately understood what he meant, and took a step forward. Surprisingly, his cultivation base was also at the half-step void refinement realm. The silver-robed elderly man's body was surrounded by traces of lightning which made sizzling sounds. At the moment when his aura force was released, all the cultivators of the Shimen clan except for Shimen Yi kept a distance from him. Their faces were filled with fear. Is it Elder Lei who is going to make a move this time? Elder Lei's lightning technique is rarely matched by anyone at the same level as him. Especially this lightning, which is a 6th grade void lightning. Its power is extraordinary. I heard that the endless sea of the lower world has some bullshit called the 7 venerated beings of the internal endless sea. If these 7 venerated beings are placed in front of Elder Lei, they are nothing. A series of whispers fell into the silver-robed elderly man's ears. However, it did not affect his mind at all. It showed that he was a cultivator with a strong heart. Elder Lei's gaze swept across Bei Xiaoman. When he saw the latter's slightly pale face, he felt a little guilty. He had received many favors from the 4 young mistresses of the Lost World Palace. If he were to kill Ningfan today, Bei Xiaoman would certainly be sad. He sighed inwardly. However, he could not help himself. Now that he was a member of the Shimen clan, he had to be loyal to them. He looked at Ningfan with a hint of mercy in his eyes. Then he said coldly, "Zhou Ming, if you surrender now, I will let your soul enter samsara for the sake of the 4th mistress." "No need. You are not my match." "Humph. Shameless boasting." Elder Lei's eyes turned cold. He was an expert who had half a step into the void refinement realm. Why would he be afraid of a peak divine transformation realm cultivator? He was already showing mercy by letting Ningfan's soul enter samsara. Since Ningfan did not know what was good for him, there was no need for him to show any mercy. He took a step forward and silver lightning surrounded his body. He drew a semicircle in the air with both of his hands. At the next moment, the lightning turned into an 8 trigrams palm imprint and struck at Ningfan. 8 directional lightning. The 8 trigrams palm imprint immediately turned into 8 lightning snakes that were as thick as the mouth of a bull and attacked Ningfan with sizzling sounds. This palm attack was not a large-scale attack. Instead, it condensed the palm force to its limit. Each of the lightning snakes could easily kill a peak divine transformation realm cultivator. This lightning is not bad. I want it. Ningfan suddenly touched his glabella and drew out the spirit-breaking whip, which was a peak spiritual treasure. He then lashed 8 times at the 8 lightning snakes. Although his opponent's lightning was a 6th grade void lightning, Ningfan's lightning was the lightning of the heavenly tribulation. The 8 whip shadows and 8 blood lightning dragons clashed with the silver lightning. Immediately, electric sparks shot out in all directions. Shi Bing and Lu Qing immediately activated the southern tower's defense to prevent the battle from affecting the outside world. Once the electric sparks spread, Perhaps the area within 10,000 li of the Black Tortoise City would be razed to the ground. Rumble. When the two lightning snakes came into contact with each other, Elder Lei's expression changed drastically. His 6th grade silver lightning actually showed signs of fear. It did not dare to resist the blood lightning at all. After the 8 lashes, the lightning snakes suddenly shattered, and all the electric sparks were devoured by the blood lightning. In front of everyone's eyes, the spirit-breaking whip devoured all of Elder Lei's spirit lightning, and advanced to a half-step void treasure. Heavenly Tribulation Blood Lightning. Among the 7 realms of the cultivation realm, this lightning is almost the strongest. Elder Lei's expression turned grim. He finally realized that even though Ning Fan was only a peak divine transformation realm cultivator, his techniques were definitely not weak. It would be very difficult for him to defeat Ning Fan. When he turned around, he saw Shimin Yi looking at him with displeasure. All of a sudden, Elder Lei knew that something was wrong. If he could not kill Ning Fan, he would definitely be killed by Shimin Yi. Let's fight! Thunder-splitting sword appear. Elder Lei waved his sleeve and 8 silver sword shadows appeared in front of him. Each of the sword shadows was a peak spiritual treasure. When the 8 swords merged into one, its destructive power would not be any weaker than a void treasure. It's the thunder-splitting sword. This is the treasure that made Elder Lei famous. I wonder how many divine transformation realm cultivators have died under this sword. Humph. That Zhou Ming is dead for sure. Even though his blood whip is powerful and can restrain lightning, it is just a half-step void treasure after all. It can't withstand the destructive power of this thunder-splitting sword. Even though Elder Lei was slightly weaker than Ning Fan, all the cultivators of the Shimin clan believed that Elder Lei had a higher chance of winning. As Elder Lei changed his hand seal, the 8 swords turned into rays of light and shot forward, emitting ear-piercing screeches. All of a sudden, they disappeared without a trace. In the next moment, each of them flashed and appeared 5 zhang away from Ning Fan. Sword chi shot out from the swords and 8 streaks of sword lightning swept towards Ning Fan. When the 8 lightning swords merged into one, even a half-step void refinement realm expert would die. Seeing that the 8 swords were coming at him, Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He took a step forward and the blood whip in his hand moved like a shadow. In an instant, he lashed out 100 times consecutively. The 100 whips landed on the 8 thunder-splitting swords. In just an instant, the 8 swords broke into pieces from the middle, as if they were struck by lightning. As for the 8 streaks of lightning swords, they were directly swept away by the spirit-breaking whip. After his 8 swords were broken, Elder Lei's eyes were filled with shock. He had never expected that the spirit-breaking whip was actually such a powerful magic treasure. What was even more unexpected was that at the same time when the 8 swords were broken, 100 streaks of blood-red lightning suddenly rose from his dantian and heavily struck his primordial spirit. Puff! Elder Lei's face turned pale. He was severely injured. He could feel that if it wasn't for Ning Fan showing mercy, his primordial spirit would have been destroyed and he would have died under the blood lightning. Retreat. Otherwise, I won't show mercy anymore. Ning Fan held the lightning whip in his hand. His eyes were like a devil and his black hair danced wildly in the wind. If it wasn't for Elder Lei's kind words and willingness to let Ning Fan's soul enter samsara, Ning Fan would definitely not spare his life. If Elder Lei continues to be stubborn, Ning Fan will no longer show mercy. He will just kill him. Hissed out a gust of cold chi swept across the cultivators of the Shimin clan. Elder Lei, who possessed the 6th grade spirit lightning and the thunder-splitting swords, was nearly killed by Ning Fan in just 2 moves. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that if it wasn't for Ning Fan showing mercy, Elder Lei would have already died. This Zhou Ming is a ruthless person. Even though he is not as good as Shimin Yi, he can still be considered as a genius whose name can shake a region in the northern heaven. Under Ning Fan's intense gaze, the divine transformation realm cultivators of the Shimin clan who were extremely arrogant just now avoided eye contact with him. None of them dared to look him in the eye. Shimin Yi, I've said it before. As long as I'm here, you won't be able to take her away. Rumble. Shimin Yi's face darkened. Ning Fan's words were no different from slapping his face. He mercilessly sent out a palm strike. Elder Lei's severely injured physical body immediately turned into a mist of blood. Only his primordial spirit survived. Trash. After I kill this evil, I will come and kill you. Elder Lei's primordial spirit was filled with fear. However, he did not dare to resist and he could not. Shimen Yi was too strong. Killing him was just a matter of seconds. His gaze shifted to Ningfan. He already understood that Ningfan was indeed a formidable figure. At least, there was almost no one below the Void Refinement Realm who could defeat him. However, that was only below the Void Refinement Realm. Even though Shimen Yi's clone was also at the half-step Void Refinement Realm, his true body was a true first heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. Do you like Bei Xiaoman a lot? Ningfan did not answer. Humph. I won't bully you. As long as you can defeat me by half a move, Bei Xiaoman will be yours. Qi Shimen Yi drew a line in the void with his palm. Immediately, the air in front of him was split into two halves by the force of his palm, revealing a newly opened heavenly dwelling space. Opening the heavenly dwelling with a palm. Ningfan's heart shuddered. Only Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters could achieve such a technique. With Ningfan's eyesight, even though the heavenly dwelling space that Shimen Yi casually opened was only 10,000 li wide, it was enough to show that this person's techniques were extraordinary. Moreover, it seemed that this Shimen Yi was extremely conceited. He disdained to defeat Ningfan in the Black Tortoise City. After all, fighting in the Black Tortoise City might affect other cultivators and distract Ningfan. Shimen Yi wanted to openly trample Ningfan under his feet. Enter this heavenly dwelling and fight with me. If you can defeat me by half a move, Bei Xiaoman will be yours. If you lose, you will die. Shimen Yi did not say a word and stepped into the heavenly dwelling. As for Ningfan, after pondering for a while, he reckoned that it would be easy for him to destroy a mere heavenly dwelling space with his wind mist finger. If there are any changes, he could escape at any time. Moreover, this space had just been opened. It was impossible for there to be any formation or ambush. Xiaoman, I'm not a commodity. Ningfan turned his head to look at Bei Xiaoman and gave her a faint smile. Then he turned around and stepped into the heavenly dwelling space. Plopped out another small pebble fell into the lake of her heart. His words had made Bei Xiaoman's heart tremble. Not a commodity. He said that I'm not a commodity. Be it my mother or my elder sister, both of them treated my engagement as a bargaining chip to befriend the Shimen clan, and treated me like a commodity. However, he said that I'm not a commodity. Bei Xiaoman had always felt that Ningfan was very hateful. Extremely hateful. Every time she saw Ningfan smile at her, she would feel inexplicably angry. However, this time, she felt that his smile was especially beautiful. It was so beautiful that it made her heart ache. He clearly knows how strong Shimen Yi is, but he still wants to fight him. Doesn't he love to bully me the most? Why is he willing to stand up for me? Don't go. Bei Xiaoman suddenly felt scared. She knew how strong Shimen Yi was. She tried to persuade him to stay, but Ningfan had already entered the heavenly dwelling space. She wanted to enter the heavenly dwelling space, but it was opened by Shimen Yi's palm imprint. Unless one was a Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator, who else could enter it easily? Boom! Without giving Bei Xiaoman too much time to think, just as Ningfan and Shimen Yi entered the heavenly dwelling space, an earth-shattering fluctuation spread out from the heavenly dwelling space. Both of them used their full strength as soon as they fought. The fluctuation from their battle almost shattered the heavenly dwelling space. A stream of blood flowed out from the crack in the void, splashing onto Bei Xiaoman's face. Bei Xiaoman gently touched the blood. How could she not recognize that aura? It's Ningfan's blood. What happened inside? What exactly happened? Why did Ningfan's blood splatter across the void as soon as he attacked? Be alright. Be alright. Bei Xiaoman could no longer hold back her tears. Ningfan was fighting for her, but she did not even know whether he was dead or alive at this moment. She finally realized that she could no longer let go of him in her heart. In the heavenly dwelling space, Ningfan's entire body was bathed in blood. His eyes were filled with coldness. In front of him, Shimen Yi's fist bones were also shattered. He was inwardly shocked. His separated soul was at the peak Jade Life Body Refinement Realm, while Ningfan was only at the third level of the Jade Life Body Refinement Realm. However, After hundreds of punches, Ning Fan did not seem to be in a disadvantageous position, even though he was bathed in blood. As for Shimen Yi, he did not have a complete victory. His fist bones were shattered by Ning Fan. You are very strong. However, your strength is only within the divine transformation realm. I have already reached the void fragmentation realm, and I have seen too many geniuses. I'm not afraid to tell you that the strength of this separated soul is almost the same as my strength when I was at the divine transformation realm. You are no match for me. Is that so? Then why are your fist bones shattered? Ning Fan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His battle intent became even stronger. It was his first time meeting a genius of the same generation as him. Moreover, that person was so strong that he instinctively trembled with nervousness and excitement. In the past, he became a little arrogant just because he defeated some geniuses. Han Yetian and Shimen Yi. They were all existences who had broken through to the void fragmentation realm among their peers. I won't lose, Ning Fan said resolutely. Humph. What a shameless boast. I won't show any mercy to you this time. Soul extraction. Shimen Yi clawed at the earth soul of the heavenly dwelling with his 5 fingers. However, Ning Fan's lips curved into a cold smirk. He also clawed at the earth soul before Shimen Yi did. There was only one earth soul. After Ning Fan extracted it, Shimen Yi had no other soul to extract. You also know the soul extraction technique, and you are even more skilled than me. This is impossible. Shimen Yi's expression changed for the first time. This soul extraction technique was only comprehended after Shimen Yi broke through to the void fragmentation realm. Thus he was not very proficient in it. Originally, he wanted to extract the soul until his magic power reached the void refinement realm and kill Ning Fan with a single move. However, he did not expect that Ning Fan would take away his earth soul instead. After extracting the soul into his body, Ning Fan's magic power skyrocketed. All of a sudden, his cultivation base rose to the half-step void refinement realm, which was not any weaker than Shimen Yi. His bones let out a crisp sound that sounded like a sonic boom. Ning Fan's eyes were like lightning as he stared at Shimen Yi coldly. 2 layers of palm imprints condensed in the center of his palms, and he threw a palm strike. At the next moment, rolling black flames turned into a 2,000 zhang large flaming palm, pressing toward Shimen Yi from the sky. Mortal Void Realm magic technique? But so what? Great Void Palm. Shimen Yi threw out a palm imprint. The void power that was as dark as the night turned into a 2,000 zhang large black palm imprint, and collided with the flaming palm. Boom! The flaming palm was shattered and so was the void palm. Waves of energy swept across the place, almost causing the space of the heavenly dwelling to collapse. Ning Fan took 10 steps back while Shimen Yi took 9 steps back. Only then did they manage to stabilize their bodies. Shimen Yi was inwardly surprised. The great void palm that he used all of his strength was actually blocked by Ning Fan. What was even more unbelievable was that Ning Fan flapped his fully purple wings the moment he stabilized his body. He held his sword with both of his hands. One of his hands was filled with starlight like water while the other was filled with blood chi like a dragon. He was not shaken by the destruction of the flaming palm at all. Holding the sharp swords with both of his hands, he attacked Shimen Yi without any fear of death. I will not lose. This time, Shimen Yi could truly feel the aura force from Ning Fan's sword. Then his expression changed. This Ning Fan was definitely the most ferocious divine transformation realm cultivator he had ever met. However, you are just a divine transformation realm cultivator after all. Condense a sword from the void. Shimen Yi waved his hand, and the power of the void condensed into a pitch-black sword. Its power was comparable to a void treasure. He pointed his sword at Ning Fan's 2 swords. When the swords clashed with each other, the space of the heavenly dwelling began to collapse. After the swords clashed for more than 10 times, Shimen Yi impatiently realized that he could not gain any advantage over Ning Fan at all. Moreover, in terms of the exquisiteness of sword techniques, he was far inferior to Ning Fan. I can't believe that I lost to an ant from the lower world in terms of the Tao of Sword. A strong sense of displeasure surged in Shimen Yi's heart. He held his sword with one hand and the other fiercely slapped the body of Ning Fan's separation slayer. The force of the slap shattered the webbing between Ning Fan's thumb and forefinger. Blood gushed out like a fountain. However, his eyes did not change his charging stance. He slashed the blood dragon demon sword toward Shimenye's neck, not caring about the injury he suffered. Shimenye was secretly shocked. This kind of fighting method that risked one's life to take another's life made him extremely fearful. He hurriedly retreated, but his neck was still slashed by the blood dragon demon sword, leaving behind a half-inch long bloody mark. Moreover, when the blood dragon demon sword slashed his skin, there seemed to be a tearing force coming from the blood sword, sucking away a lot of Shimenye's blood essence. Due to his carelessness, he suffered a greater loss than Ning Fan. What kind of demon sword is this? Shimenye was enraged. He would not allow himself to be injured by an ant. Half a move. I have one. Ning Fan mocked. Shut up. Shimenye's eyes were filled with madness. The agreement of half a move was thrown to the back of his mind. At this moment, he only had one thought in his mind, and that was to kill Ning Fan. Chapter 379. Shimenye touched the wound on his neck, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. However, at the next moment he bit the tip of his tongue and suppressed his killing intent. He was arrogant. Therefore, he would go crazy after being injured by Ning Fan. He was conceited. Therefore, he would not allow himself to be at a disadvantage. Shimenye's black robes fluttered in the wind. His heart became calmer and calmer. His deep black eyes no longer had any emotions. For black divine stars appeared on his glabella. However, he raised his hand and crushed two of them. Blood trickled down from the corner of his mouth, but he remained cold and arrogant. He did not explain and no longer concealed his killing intent towards Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan knew that Shimenye destroyed two of his divine stars for the sake of fairness. He wanted to annihilate Ning Fan equally. You are indeed very strong. If you were born 1,000 years earlier, you would have already reached the void fragmentation realm. However, you need to understand that you are still inferior to me. Your injuries are too severe. You are already an arrow at the end of its flight. I don't think so. Ning Fan secretly activated the Black Star technique, and his body was surrounded by faint starlight. He did not directly summon his natal star. Even Shimenye might not know that he had learned the Black Star technique. His injuries that were bathed in blood recovered at an extremely fast speed. This scene shocked Shimenye. Ning Fan's method of self-recovery was very similar to the star healing technique. You have quite a lot of techniques. If that's the case, I can fight you to my heart's content. If you walk out of this world alive, I can guarantee on behalf of the Shimen clan that Bei Xiaoman will belong to you. If you lose, you will die. Shimenye did not say anything else. His expression changed and his first divine star flashed. In an instant, the sky inside the heavenly dwelling turned from day to night. As the night fell, Shimenye's chi gradually became faint. Eventually, he disappeared from Ning Fan's sight. His first divine star was the divine star of night. It was the ruler of the night. As long as he stayed in the depths of the night, he could conceal all his chi. Assassination and sneak attack were not a problem. Chi streaks of pitch-black sword energy were immersed in the night sky as they attacked from all directions. Ning Fan wielded both of his swords and blocked the sword chi. The purple star in his left eye flashed as if it could see through the night, and immediately found Shimenye's hiding spot. The baleful chi around him rose and gathered in the blood sword. Under the activation of Ning Fan's baleful chi, the blood sword emitted an evil and strange red light in the night sky. A sword pointed to where Shimenye was like it could sweep away 1,000 troops, like it could swing a mountain. And where the sword tip pointed, it seemed to pierce through this side of the world. For a moment, within the space of the cave, there were deafening roars of countless blood dragons. A blood-colored sword ray shot out from the sword, splitting into 10, then into 100. In an instant, there were already 1,000,000 sword rays. As the sword chi swept across, countless hollow spaces collapsed. Layers of darkness were forcefully dispersed. Shimenye, who was hiding in the darkness, was forced out by Ning Fan's sword. Puff! After coughing up blood heavily, Shimenye retreated 100 steps. His hair bun was cut off, his black hair dancing in the wind. Shimen Yi was secretly surprised when he was forced to reveal himself by Ning Fan's sword, but he had already expected such a situation. He was hiding in the night to activate the power of the second divine star. The second divine star was a bit special. It was called the Star of Seven Tones. A deity transformation cultivator would need some time to completely activate the power of this star. He drew a mysterious sound diagram with both of his hands and condensed the power of the void to form a seven-stringed guqin. He held it horizontally in his arms and traces of ancient music came from his fingertips. Wherever the music passed by, all the sword rays would collapse. At this moment, Shimen Yi stood in the sky, as if he could compete with the sun and the moon. Without any warning, Ning Fan's heart was filled with alarm, and he immediately retreated. At the moment when he retreated, Shimen Yi chanted the first sound. The first sound of the seven tones, the sound of the five elements. He increased the speed of his plucking. The devil sound was as scorching as fire. Wherever the devil sound passed by, it turned into a sea of black flames. Ice fell from the sky, sand rose from the ground, lightning flashed in the sky and a misty wind swept across. Mortal void technique. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. This devil sound controlling five elements technique was obviously a mortal void realm killing technique. Once he is attacked, it would be the same as being hit by a mortal void realm attack. Sound waves carried an unstoppable destructive force and attacked him. The sound waves were formless and intangible. How could he possibly defend against them? Tens of thousands of rays of black light fell from the top of Shimen Yi's head. At this moment, he looked solemn and dignified. It was impossible to tell that the sound he was playing was filled with endless killing intent. Under the engulfment of the devil sound, the earth soul that Ning Fan extracted from the ground suddenly collapsed. His soul extraction technique failed once again, and his aura force fell back to the peak divine transformation realm. Clang as Shimen Yi's plucking intensified, the sound waves turned into tangible waves and swept across the five elements. The first sound of the seven tones, the five elements could be used as sound. When the devil sound is released, it could break all the five elements in the world. In order to defend against this sound, none of the five elements techniques could be used. He could only use techniques that were not related to the five elements. Ning Fan's white robes were like the moon. His cold eyes were as vast as the stars. He did not know many magic techniques that were not related to the five elements. However, there was one that could break the five elements devil sound at this moment. Break through the five elements and evolve the five tombs. The wind is the wood dragon, the earth is the earth dragon, the lightning is the gold dragon, the flame is the fire dragon and the ice is the water dragon. When the five dragons die, the black dragon is born. When the five elements die, the five tombs are born. Ning Fan's fingers moved rapidly, forming mysterious hand seals and activating the Fuli demon blood to support the use of this technique. Each time he chanted a word, a tombstone that was 1,000 zhang above his head would appear with the shadow of a dragon. The five tombstones represented the five elements and coincided with the heavenly secrets of life and death. When they appeared in the five tombs, Shimen Yi was shocked. The first string of his seven-stringed zither broke. The five elemental demonic sounds shattered at the same time. Five Tombs Dragon Technique. This is the lost ancestral blood demonic technique of the Black Dragon clan. How can you use it? Looking at the five tombstones that were descending from above his head, Shimen Yi's expression changed. He plucked the second string of the zither. The second sound of the seven sounds, the sound of the four beasts. The sound of the four beasts specialized in breaking the four bloodlines of the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird and Black Tortoise. Clang the sound waves were filled with the sound of killing. They turned into dragon-shaped runes and pressed down on the five tombstones. The tremendous force of the five tombstones smashing down was extremely strong. It broke through the countless sound waves just by falling down. However, each time the sound waves touched the runes, the black dragon above the five tombstones would become a little more illusory. In just a few breaths, the black dragon on the first tombstone collapsed. The first tombstone was shattered. The third sound of the seven sounds, the sound of mountain uprooting. Clang as soon as this sound appeared. The devil sound carried a raging aura force that could push mountains and fill seas. directly leveling the remaining 4 tombstones to the ground. The fourth sound of the 7 sounds, the sound of 10,000 swords. Clang. As soon as this sound appeared, the devil sound turned into millions of sword light, drowning Ning Fan in the sea of swords. Shimenye's devil sound was unpredictable and difficult to defend against. Each sound could break a unique technique. Seeing Ning Fan being drowned in the sea of swords, Shimenye snorted coldly and said disdainfully, "You can only withstand 4 of my devil sounds, huh? It seems like you're already dead before I need to use the remaining 3. Noisy." In the sea of swords, Ning Fan sneered and pressed his finger. He admitted that Shimenye's 7 sounds technique was unique. However, it seemed to be too early for Shimenye to kill him with this. If someone could see through the millions of sword light, they would see a strange scene. As the devil sound moved, the millions of sound swords gathered into 9 sword rivers. Ning Fan stood calmly on the sword rivers. Sword light kept flying past his skin, but strangely, none of them dared to kill him. Even though the devil sound technique was strong, it did not contain any sword intent. Ning Fan's sword intent was the grand completion immortal trapping sword intent. He was the lord of all swords. With this sword intent protecting him, how would any ordinary sword chi dare to harm him? When he gently lifted his finger, it seemed to carry an unimaginable power that was enough to destroy everything in its path. As soon as he pointed his finger, the heavenly dwelling space suddenly collapsed and the ground cracked. The vast sky shattered. Heaven-breaking sword finger. First collapse. Second collapse. In the midst of the 2 collapses, an extremely dazzling sword light shot out from his finger. It turned into millions of sword light, and was pulled into millions of sword threads by Ning Fan. The sword threads danced in the air, and the sound swords collapsed one after another. When the millions of sword threads touched his body, Shimenye's cold eyes changed greatly. His body immediately flashed with the color of the night. Without saying a word, he left the iron zither behind and left. At the next moment, millions of sword threads pierced him. It was like purgatory shattering heaven and earth. Under the attack of the sword threads, the iron zither that was condensed from the power of the void was instantly shattered. Shimenye's physical body was minced into a mist of blood, and disappeared without a trace. 10 breaths later, the sword threads dispersed. Shimenye took a step out from the ruins. Black light enveloped him and his physical body reformed. It was actually the incarnation of immortality technique. However, it seemed that even though Shimenye used his incarnation to block the sword fingers, he was still severely injured. His eyes were filled with astonishment for the first time. Sword finger. You actually obtained the inheritance of the sword ancestors' sword finger. Shimenye had never expected that the 7 sounds technique that he used to be invincible among his peers was actually broken by Ning Fan with just a finger. What was more unexpected was that Ning Fan possessed so many secret techniques that they were not any weaker than him, who was a heaven's pride of an aristocratic family. Shimenye, fight me. Ning Fan kept his swords. Even though his entire body was bathed in blood, his silver robes were not torn. On the other hand, even though Shimenye did not suffer any external injuries with the help of his incarnation, his robes were torn and tattered. Shimenye used his incarnation, and it was the incarnation of night. Ning Fan also took a step forward. Black chi billowed around his body, making him look like a thick and indifferent ink. His figure became even more ethereal. When Shimenye saw this scene, the greatest pride in his heart was shattered. Shimenye's greatest pride was that he had comprehended the incarnation technique when he was at the void refinement realm, and created the incarnation of night. However, Ning Fan was able to use the incarnation technique when he was at the divine transformation realm. This immediately made Shimenye's pride seem worthless. Shimenye, fight me. Ning Fan was tired of being showy. He took a step forward and turned into black smoke. With a flash, he appeared in front of Shimenye and threw out a punch. Shimenye was truly enraged. His cultivation level was obviously higher than Ning Fan's, but he was being suppressed by Ning Fan in every aspect. He did not like this kind of feeling. Zhou, you are definitely not my opponent. Boom, they gave up on all the showy moves and only used their fists to collide. Both of them were Jade Life Body cultivators. Each of their punches and kicks carried the strength that could collapse mountains and crack the earth. While attacking and defending, Shimen Yi evolved the power of the void and turned it into a huge black sword. It cut through the vault of heaven and suppressed Ningfan with force. While advancing and retreating, Ningfan's body was surrounded by a purplish-golden sandstorm. Wherever the sandstorm swept past, the huge void sword was suddenly eroded. Even Shimen Yi was severely injured. Both of them summoned their incarnations. During their attacks, they used their incarnations to offset most of the damage. However, it was inevitable that some injuries would be left behind. This kind of hand-to-hand combat lasted for a whole day. In the first few hours, Ningfan's body technique was inferior to Shimen Yi's. He attacked less and defended more. In the next few hours, Shimen Yi's injuries worsened and his strength weakened. On the other hand, Ningfan seemed to have endless energy. The more he fought, the fiercer he became. In the last few hours, Shimen Yi was almost exhausted, but Ningfan was still full of energy. Each of his punches had the strength to collapse a mountain. Shimen Yi finally realized why Ningfan could become stronger as the battle went on. It was because of Ningfan's incarnation. He had already reached the level of self-recovery, while Shimen Yi's incarnation was still in the initial stage. At this moment, Ningfan's body was bathed in blood. It was as if he did not know pain and only knew how to kill. He was like a crazed devil that could destroy the world. Every step of his body was broken, and then reformed. Every step of his body was broken and then reformed. Between the shattering and solidifying, there was an imposing aura of "I would rather die in glory than live in dishonor." Moreover, as he continued to attack, his body refinement realm that was on the verge of breaking through was as smooth as water flowing into a canal. He had almost completely broken through the bottleneck of the 4th level. Even though he had yet to break through the bottleneck of the Jade Life realm, there was already a gap in the bottleneck. Currently, Ningfan's physical body was already infinitely close to the 4th level of the Jade Life realm. From the peak of the 3rd layer to the 4th layer of the Jade Life realm, all he needed to do was to have a bloody battle with Shimen Yi in the sky and go into closed-door cultivation. After that, he would be able to find an opportunity to break through. Boom. Ningfan's punches became fiercer and fiercer. Shimen Yi shockingly discovered that his strength was already at a disadvantage. It was not only because his strength had been greatly reduced and Ningfan's incarnation had healed itself, but also because Ningfan had broken through the bottleneck of his body refinement realm during the battle with him. Seeing that Ningfan's fist force was getting stronger and stronger, Shimen Yi's eyes turned gloomy. He could not help but admit that he had lost more than once in this tug of war, where he risked his physical body. For the first time, he was deep in thought. If Ningfan breaks through to the void refinement realm, how strong would he be? If Ningfan breaks through to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, would his true body be a match for him? I don't know. For the first time in his life, Shimen Yi, who had always been conceited, felt that he did not have the confidence to win against Ningfan. Boom! Just as he was distracted, Ningfan's fist came flying towards him and landed on his chest. The strength of this punch gave Shimen Yi an illusion. It was as if he was hit by a 10,000 jang tall mountain. He was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. At this moment, all 24 of his ribs were shattered. At this moment, Ningfan's incarnation that was surrounded by the darkness of the night was forced to reveal its true form. Not good. Shimen Yi spurted out a mouthful of blood. He knew that the moment he was distracted, he had already shown signs of losing. However, he could not blame anyone else for this. He could only blame himself for not having a firm determination and being distracted. Boom boom boom, the heavy fist light landed on Shimen Yi's chest. Even his broken bones and internal organs were crushed. Even though Shimen Yi's physical body was at the peak of the Jade Life realm, his flesh and blood festered from the impact. All of his muscles and bones felt like they had fallen apart. He could no longer move at all. At this moment, Ningfan stomped on Shimen Yi in an extremely arrogant manner, sending him flying from the sky to the ground. His body turned into a thunderbolt that struck down from the sky. Suddenly, he stomped on Shimen Yi's chest and abdomen. That stomp completely penetrated the defense on his chest. Boom! Under that stomp, the fragmented space of the heavenly dwelling shattered with a loud bang. In the southern tower, two figures in blood-stained robes fell out of the space. Among them, Shimenyi was already in a miserable state. He fell to the ground with all kinds of injuries. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. As for Ningfan, he stomped on Shimenyi's dantian with his cloud-like boots that were stained with mince flesh. As long as he exerted his strength, Shimenyi's clone would definitely die. Hiss! All the divine transformation realm cultivators in the southern tower were in disbelief. Their eyes were unblinking, and they were completely stunned. Initially, they thought that with Shimenyi's strength, it would only take him a moment to eliminate Ningfan. However, after waiting for a whole day, the outcome of the battle was finally decided. It was obvious that both of them were evenly matched and had experienced a tough battle. The cultivators of the Shimen clan were already unable to accept the bitter battle. What was even more unacceptable was that the dignified Western Emperor, Shimenyi, was actually beaten like a dead dog by Ningfan and stepped on with extreme humiliation. At this moment, Ningfan's eyes were blood red. His eyes were already bloodshot, and he did not conceal his baleful chi at all. Just a glance from him was like a peerless ferocious beast, causing the divine transformation realm cultivators of the Shimen clan to retreat with their teeth chattering. What kind of aura was that? This aura even carried the prestige of defeating Shimenyi. Don't you dare hurt my lord! How dare you? How dare you hurt the young master of my Western Emperor? If you ascend to the northern heaven, you will certainly be hunted down by my Shimen clan. The cultivators of the Shimen clan gradually regained their senses and began to threaten Ningfan with words, trying to save Shimenyi. However, none of them dared to step forward and fight Ningfan. At this moment, Ningfan was just too terrifying. Shut up. Get lost. All of you get lost. Shimenyi, who was being stepped on by Ningfan, kept coughing out blood. He could not accept the fact that he had suffered a crushing defeat. What was more, he could not accept the fact that his subordinates, whom he despised, saved his clone's life by threatening him in the most inferior manner. In the past, it was only him who stepped on others. When had he ever been stepped on like this? He was unwilling, but he was not willing to rely on the Shimen clan to suppress Ningfan. He wanted to wait until Ningfan truly attained the void fragmentation realm before fighting him to avenge himself. Otherwise, he would never be able to wash away this humiliation. Shimenyi, you've lost. Ningfan's indifferent tone made Shimenyi unable to refute. Ningfan could have trampled Shimenyi to death with a single stomp. However, Shimenyi did not use any void fragmentation realm abilities to bully Ningfan from the beginning to the end. He only used his half-step void refinement realm strength. Because of this, Ningfan did not destroy his clone. Why didn't you kill me? Why? The loser deserves to die. Shimenyi felt even more humiliated than being killed when he saw that Ningfan did not kill him. With the last bit of his strength, he forcefully raised his palm and slammed it on the top of his head. Just like that, his clone collapsed. However, he would rather die than be humiliated. Zhou Ming, I only hate you for humiliating me today. I won't hurt the innocent. I, Shimenyi, will do what I say. Bei Xiaoman, it's yours now. However, if you touch my subordinates, I will definitely take revenge and make you regret it. Believe me, I can do it. Humph. Ningfan harumphed coldly. Before Shimenyi died, he still wanted to disgust Ningfan and threaten him. He was really despicable. He did not have the intention to kill the cultivators of the Shimen clan in the first place. If all of them were to die in the Rain World, it would be a huge matter. Moreover, this battle was a grudge between Shimenyi and Ningfan. It had nothing to do with these divine transformation realm cultivators. Get lost. Ningfan shouted coldly. The 48 divine transformation realm cultivators of the Shimen clan were terrified. They hurriedly retreated back to the northern heaven. In an instant, only Ningfan, Bei Xiaoman, Lu and Shi were left in the main hall. I'm not dreaming, right? Fellow Taoist Zhou actually defeated the clone of Emperor Shimen. Doesn't this mean that fellow Taoist Zhou has the strength to fight against a void refinement realm expert after risking his life? TSK. If this matter is spread out, I'm afraid the endless sea will be shaken. Lu Qing sighed. I hope that this matter will not be spread out. Ning Fan shook his head. The grudge this time involved Bei Xiaoman's marriage, the Lost World Palace and the Shiman clan. If this matter is spread out, it would certainly damage the reputation of the Shiman clan. Perhaps Shiman Yi could endure the fact that an ant from the lower world stole his marriage, but the Shiman clan might not be able to. The current Ning Fan could not bear the anger of the Shiman clan. He was really too weak. He did not feel proud of defeating Shiman Yi at all. All he could do was to smile bitterly. What he defeated was just Shiman Ye's clone. If Shiman Ye's true body were to come here, Ning Fan would not even have the chance to fight back with his void fragmentation realm strength. The gap between me and a true heaven's pride is too huge. Unless I break through to the void fragmentation realm, otherwise. Ning Fan shook his head. From today onwards, he would no longer boast about being a heaven's pride. There were too many people who were stronger than him. Zhou, are you alright? Why are you bleeding so much? I'm fine. I just feel a little dizzy. Maybe I've lost too much blood. Ning Fan looked at Bei Xiaoman, whose tears had yet to dry. Suddenly, his heart softened and he could no longer smile. To think that Bei Xiaoman would actually cry for him. It was just too unbelievable. Pa Ning Fan's mind went blank and he really fainted. The direction where he fainted was towards Bei Xiaoman. Before he fainted, he only had two thoughts. Firstly, Shiman Yi was a strong opponent. Secondly, the place where he fainted was really soft. Although it was not plump, Bei Xiaoman was at a loss of what to do. When she saw Ning Fan fainting, her face turned pale. However, when Ning Fan fell into her arms, she felt that he was still breathing. It was just that he fainted because he had lost too much blood and was too tired. Damn it! Stinky Zhou. Why did you scare me when you're not dead yet? You're despicable. Move your dirty face away. Lean on me. Bei Xiaoman's face turned red with anger. Ning Fan really knows how to faint. He purposely chose to faint on my chest. Was he doing it on purpose? Unfortunately, Ning Fan's injuries were not light. Bei Xiaoman did not dare to be irresponsible and leave him on the ground. She could only let him bury his face in her chest and greedily suck the fragrance from her chest. My lady, venerated Ming's injuries are too severe. In my opinion, he must be treated immediately. Shi Bing advised. He had a good relationship with Ning Fan. If it wasn't for Ning Fan, Bei Xiaoman would certainly be captured and brought back to the Northern Heaven. Of course, he did not want to see anything happen to Ning Fan. I know. I'll treat him. I still have some things that I haven't finished using. Bei Xiaoman gritted her teeth. In fact, she had not completely severed her scarlet dragon. She had only severed half of it. She had also only used half of the black crystal that her mother gave her. The remaining half was, of course, precious. However, compared to treating Ning Fan's injuries, severing the scarlet dragon was nothing. Forget it. I'll think of a way in the future. Let Stinky Zhou live first. Humph. He's my human cauldron. If he dies just like this, it'll be a loss for me. Bei Xiaoman carried Ning Fan with her petite body and walked towards the top of the southern tower. That place was her room. Northern Heaven, Shiman clan. In the stone chamber, Shiman Yi was comprehending the next bottleneck. Outside the chamber, many cultivators were waiting respectfully. Among the cultivators who were waiting, there was even the clan leader of the Shiman clan, Shiman Feng. He was a true immortal realm old monster, and also Shiman Ye's father. Looking at the stone chamber, Shiman Ye's eyes were filled with relief. He had 9 sons and Shiman Yi was undoubtedly the most outstanding one among them. He even became one of the 4 sons of the Northern Heaven, and was known as the Western Emperor. It was not hard to imagine that Shiman Yi would certainly become the next clan leader of the Shiman clan, after tens of thousands of years. Like father, like son. Young Master Yi is only 2,000 years old, and he has already broken through to the void fragmentation realm. He's one of the few outstanding talents in the entire Northern Heaven. You flatter me. Shiman Feng nodded his head proudly. He was very satisfied with the flattery from the crowd. I heard that young Master Yi went to the lower world to capture the Lost World Palace's 4th mistress. Did something happen to him? What could happen to Yi Air when he descended to the Rain World? Shiman Feng was displeased. No. Clan leader, you misunderstood me. I'm just afraid that young master is too strong and killed too many people. It could only be someone else. How could it be young master? Haha. Well said. It could only be someone else. How could it be Yi heir? It doesn't matter how many people of the rain world die. They are just ants in the lower world. If Yi heir is happy, he can kill them as he pleases. Shimin Feng said disapprovingly. Boom! While the crowd was talking, a loud sound suddenly came from the stone chamber. The stone door was shattered. Among the debris and dust, Shimin Yi, who was wearing a black robe, walked out of the stone chamber. There was blood at the corner of his mouth and his eyes were cold. After taking 3 steps out of the stone chamber, he suddenly vomited blood and half knelt on the ground. This scene scared countless cultivators of the Shimin clan. What happened? Could it be that young Master Yi failed to comprehend the bottleneck? But it shouldn't be this serious. How could young Master suffer such a serious injury? Shut up. Yi heir wasn't injured by others. He was injured by himself. Shimin Feng's eyes were cold. He clearly saw a palm mark on Shimin Ye's forehead. There was no mistake. That palm mark was the inherited supreme skill of the Shimin clan. Great Void Palm. Judging from the palm mark, the palm did not directly hit his forehead. Instead, it hit his avatar, causing the main body to be injured. With Shimin Feng's experience, how could he not know that Shimin Ye's injury was due to an accident that happened to his avatar in the lower world, forcing him to destroy his avatar with a palm strike? He scanned the inside of the ancestral hall with his spirit sense. When he saw that none of the life plates of the cultivators who accompanied Shimin Yi to the lower world were broken, he became very curious. Could it be that Shimin Yi fought with someone and lost? Under humiliation, he destroyed his avatar? Unless that was the case, the 48 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators who were sent to protect Shimin Yi would not ignore Shimin Ye's injury. They would definitely fight the enemy to the death before Shimin Yi. As the saying goes, no one knows his son better than his father. Shimin Feng had already guessed what had happened. Was your avatar defeated by a Void Refinement Realm cultivator? Shimin Feng sighed secretly. If Shimin Ye's Divine Transformation Realm clone was defeated by a Void Refinement Realm cultivator, he still had a way to comfort him. No. He is a peak Divine Transformation Realm cultivator. Shimin Yi said unwillingly. After his avatar died, all of its memories were transmitted back to him using a strange ability. What? Your half-step Void Refinement Realm clone was defeated by a peak Divine Transformation Realm cultivator from the lower world? How is this possible? Shimin Feng was secretly shocked. He was naturally well aware of his son's innate talent. Not to mention the lower world. Even in the northern heaven, there was no Divine Transformation Realm cultivator who could destroy Shimin Ye's avatar. However, looking at Shimin Ye's unwilling eyes, Shimin Feng knew that Shimin Yi was certainly not lying. If he was not defeated by someone whose cultivation base was lower than his, he would definitely not be so unwilling. Who is he? Do I need to send people to kill him? No need. I want to wait for him to reach the Void Fragmentation Realm and fight him. His name is Zhou Ming. Shimin Yi clenched his teeth. His vision turned white and he fainted. On this day, the Shimin clan was in an uproar because of Zhou Ming. However, Shimin Feng did not send anyone to the lower world to kill Ning Fan because of Shimin Ye's order. He knew his son very well. Shimin Yi was too arrogant. He must kill Ning Fan with his own hands. Otherwise, everything would be meaningless. Countless cultivators of the Shimin clan were discussing with each other. Naturally, they were talking about the defeat of Shimin Ye's avatar. First, the Rain World has produced Liu Bei. Then there is Zhou Ming. It seems like there are quite a number of extraordinary people in the lower world. Even Emperor Shi was defeated. TSK. This Zhou Ming is really amazing. If he is given 1,000 years, I'm afraid he will really become an extraordinary person after 1,000 years. Chapter 380. Ning Fan slept for a few days. His body had its own natal star to heal him. His injuries healed very quickly. However, the tough battle this time had really exhausted him mentally and physically, making him unable to wake up. During these few days, Bei Xiaoman was the only one who took care of him. She had almost dismissed all of her maids. leaving only one or two of them to help Ning Fan grind pills. Outsiders were not allowed to enter this place. Only Yilan was allowed to visit Ning Fan with Bei Xiaoman's permission. The battle between Ning Fan and Shimen Yi had shaken the entire northern heaven. This battle was even more shocking than killing Zichuan and Lin Su with Liu Bei's help. It was because the one who was defeated this time was not an ordinary genius, but Emperor Shi. Even if it was just his spirit clone that was destroyed, how could his spirit clone be the same? It was a perfect copy of Emperor Shi's full strength when he was at the divine transformation realm. To a certain extent, this spirit clone had void fragmentation realm combat consciousness, making it slightly stronger than Emperor Shi, who was at the divine transformation realm. However, such a spirit clone was defeated by a cultivator from the mortal world, who had a lower cultivation base. For a moment, Zhou Ming's reputation even overshadowed Liu Bei's. Unfortunately, no one knew that the two of them were actually the same person. Compared to the uproar in the northern heaven, Penglai Immortal Island was much more low-key. Not many people even knew that Ning Fan had left the Lost World Tower and returned to Penglai. Under Ning Fan's order, Lu Ensure dared not leak the news of Emperor Shi's defeat. Firstly, Ning Fan did not want to get into more trouble because of this. Secondly, he did not feel proud of defeating a spirit clone. On the contrary, it made him more aware of the huge gap between him and Emperor Shi. If he were to face Emperor Shi's true body, he might not even be able to last a single round. The result of the tough battle was to break through the bottleneck of the 4th level of the Jade Life realm. While he was sleeping due to exhaustion, he was also stabilizing his body refinement realm. However, his sleeping posture was definitely unsightly. Ning Fan, who was bathed in blood, was stripped naked by Bei Xiaoman. She even personally helped him to take a bath. Ning Fan would never know about all of these. He would never know that a woman as arrogant as Bei Xiaoman would do something like a servant. If Bei Xiaoman's elder sisters were here and saw what she did, their eyeballs would certainly fall off. In her room, Bei Xiaoman was holding a towel. She carefully wrung it dry and wiped Ning Fan's body. Her face, that was around 13 to 14 years old, was now flushed. With her identity, it was impossible for her to touch any man's body. However, she was grooming Ning Fan every day, which was extremely rare. The sleeping Ning Fan looked like an ordinary young man. His eyebrows had a hint of heroic spirit, but his body was a little thin and weak. Bei Xiaoman touched Ning Fan's chest boldly. Then, she touched her own chest and scolded softly. "You dare to say that my chest is small? Yours is the one that is small. Among the cultivators, which one of them is as thin and weak as you? If I didn't know better, I would have thought that you are a gigolo." "That's right, you're a gigolo, a sugar baby of mine." A master wiping the body of a servant is a reward, a grace. "You must thank me for my kindness." "Humph, if it weren't for the fact that you were injured for this consort would rather bathe a dog than help you bathe. This stinky Zhou Ming. He's usually so fierce, but when he's asleep, he's so good-looking. Damn it." Bei Xiaoman muttered to herself and scolded softly. However, her hands were still carefully wiping Ning Fan's body. His upper body was still fine, but his lower body. What Bei Xiaoman hated the most was a hot object. That thing was obviously soft. Every time Bei Xiaoman endured her embarrassment and rubbed it with her soft hands, it would immediately stand up with blood. There was a time when Bei Xiaoman was half bending in front of the bed to help Ning Fan wipe his body. All of a sudden, that thing stood up and hit Bei Xiaoman's face, producing an ambiguous pa-pa sound. At that time, Bei Xiaoman was so angry that she almost had the urge to cut that thing with a pair of scissors. Humiliation. A great humiliation. She, Bei Xiaoman, was actually hit by a man's thing. If others find out about this, she would not be able to live anymore. "You must have done it on purpose." "Damn it. Damn it." Bei Xiaoman held the towel with her small hands and wiped Ning Fan's legs first. Eventually, she still had no choice but to wipe that thing. She clenched her teeth and closed her eyes. Then, she touched that thing with her small hands and rubbed it carefully. She did not know why, but every time she touched that thing, her body would feel hot and numb. It was an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Her mind was like a horse lantern, recalling the scenes when she met Ning Fan. When they first met, Ning Fan was full of injuries. He had just attained the harmonious spirit realm, but he claimed to be a fifth revolution pill master, and insisted on entering the fifth floor of the Lost World Tower to cultivate. Bei Xiaoman gave Ning Fan a small test. She asked him to help her pick up her embroidered shoes and wear them. At that time, Ning Fan was really gentle. As a man, he was willing to bow down and wear shoes for a woman. Bei Xiaoman had to admit that from that moment onwards, Ning Fan was completely different from other men in her heart. Even though she did not like him yet, she could not help but pay attention to him. After that, Bei Xiaoman followed Ning Fan. He purposely showed her a live erotic scene, causing her Dao heart to shatter. In the end, he even took away Grandpa Stone Warrior, causing her to shed countless tears. The most hateful thing was that Ning Fan even took away her Yuan Yao jade. He even violated Bei Xiaoman's private part, and used a jade slip to take a picture of her at her peak. Moreover, Ning Fan even pinched Bei Xiaoman's face. When she recalled the experiences of being bullied, Bei Xiaoman felt a little annoyed. She clenched her small hand that was wiping that thing. When she was recalling the past, she did not realize that time had passed. She had already wiped that thing countless times with her small hand. In the end, she clenched her hand fiercely in anger, almost causing the greatest stimulation to that thing. With a chi sound, a thick white substance shot out. Before Bei Xiaoman could react, her entire face was stained with dirt. Some of that stain even penetrated into her small mouth. Who would have thought that she was scolding Ning Fan? Her mouth was still open. She licked her lips and was stunned. Before she could react, she felt that the thing was a little salty and fishy. However, when she smelled it, she felt her whole body turning soft and hot. Unconsciously, she swallowed it. At the next moment, she suddenly realized what it was. This is Zhou Ming's. Zhou Ming's. Stinky Zhou Ming. Stinky Zhou Ming. You're shameless. You're a pervert. Bei Xiaoman was so angry that she almost cried. She felt that Ning Fan was too infuriating. Why did he have to bully her while she was sleeping? Looking at the soft and hot thing that she had touched, Bei Xiaoman really wanted to cut it off and cut off Ning Fan's great Tao of dual body refinement. However, when she shifted her gaze upwards and saw Ning Fan's comfortable expression while he was sleeping, her heart skipped a beat. Is it really comfortable to do this? Bei Xiaoman could not help but recall the time when she lost control of her menstrual blood. If Ning Fan did not save her, she would have died. On that day, Ning Fan used an extremely shameless method to constantly tease her lower body to relieve the pain. Even though it was extremely shameful at that time, Bei Xiaoman always felt a little worried when she recalled the feeling of that day. That day when Ning Fan touched her, it was really comfortable. It was an indescribable feeling of comfort. Bei Xiaoman had never done it before. The only time she did it was when she was unconscious. That could be said to be her first experience. Even though the process was shameful, it felt good. Humph. I thought that only I would feel comfortable being touched. It turns out that you, the great devil Lord Zhou, also feel comfortable. It turns out that you're not that strong after all. Bei Xiaoman felt a little better. That day, she was profaned by Ning Fan. Now that Ning Fan was asleep, she also profaned him by imprinting a few jade slips. Humph. If Ning Fan dares to disobey her in the future, she would imprint 100 or even 1,000 copies of the jade slips and give them to every old monster who comes to the Lost World Tower for free. She wanted them to see how shameless Ning Fan was. Bei Xiaoman humphed proudly. She finally had the chance to take revenge on Ning Fan. She stroked the hair on her temples and took off her embroidered shoes. Then she climbed onto the bed and pulled one of Ning Fan's white robes to wipe his face, wiping away all the dirt. Using Ning Fan's clothes as a cleaning cloth, Bei Xiaoman really felt a great sense of achievement. After cleaning Ning Fan for a while, Bei Xiaoman took out a few jade slips and began to imprint them. She wanted to imprint the scene of her disciplining Ning Fan. This was called giving him a taste of his own medicine. Suppressing her embarrassment and anger, Bei Xiaoman once again touched his small hand and began to tease the burning sensation. 18 times. 18 times. She had touched Ning Fan 18 times. She was going to cripple Ning Fan. Humph. Zhou Xiaoming won't wake up anyway. What's wrong with me playing with him? Who asked him to bully me? I'm going to bully him too. Ning Fan had a nightmare. He dreamt of a female sex fiend who raped him 17 to 18 times in a single night. To Ning Fan, who was already a devil cultivator of dual cultivation, this kind of dream was simply inconceivable. When he opened his eyes slightly, he felt dizzy and his head was spinning. He felt that he was naked. He could not help but smile bitterly. Why was he stripped naked after he fainted? Ning Fan glanced sideways and immediately saw a scene that looked like he was going to vomit blood. Bei Xiaoman was helping him with it using her small feet. There were more than 10 jade slips scattered on the bed. Ning Fan felt a chill down his spine. He could imagine that Bei Xiaoman must have secretly imprinted the humiliating scene on him. Bei Xiaoman, you are playing with fire. Ning Fan's eyes gradually turned fiery. Suddenly he shouted, almost scaring Bei Xiaoman to death. Fine, I'll play with you. If you have the ability, burn me to death. Ugh! Bei Xiaoman retorted subconsciously. At the next moment, her lips were sealed by Ning Fan. She turned around and was pressed down. Her head buzzed and went blank. She was actually kissed by Ning Fan. 18 times. How could Ning Fan let her go so easily? Bei Xiaoman, you are playing with fire. Now, it's your turn to extinguish it. Ning Fan's lips curved into a smile. Bei Xiaoman burst into tears due to the pain. However, she became even more annoyed. She did not know where she got the strength from. She turned around and pressed Ning Fan below her. Fine, I'll extinguish it. Who's afraid of you? Don't forget that you are now my human cauldron. I am going to pluck you until you die. I'm so mad. 1 hour later, the battle ended. Bei Xiaoman collapsed on Ning Fan's body tiredly. She did not even have the strength to move her fingers. Bei Xiaoman, you have played with me 18 times. Now you still owe me 17 times. Ning Fan revealed a harmless smile. Humph. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Let me rest for a while, and I will return it to you immediately. I really hate you. I really hate you. I hate you to the core. The more Bei Xiaoman thought about it, the angrier she became. She bit Ning Fan's shoulder at a place where no one could see. Her face was filled with hesitation and shyness. Other than you, I will never hate anyone else. She muttered to herself so softly that it was almost inaudible. Ning Fan only pushed Bei Xiaoman 3 times before stopping. It was because she could no longer endure it. After covering Bei Xiaoman with a thin blanket, Ning Fan walked into the night sky. Standing at the top of the southern tower, he stared at the cold moonlight. The moonlight was pale yellow. It was no different from the moonlight in Yu country and Wu country. However, there was a slight difference in its appearance. It was the moonlight of a foreign land. However, the person who was looking at the moonlight was no longer the same as before. I am still me, but I am no longer me. The path that I have taken cannot be restarted after all. There are 3 steps in the Tao cultivation realm. The first step is divided into 7 levels. I have only reached the divine transformation realm. I wonder who will be able to reach the void refinement realm. What is void? What is true? Ning Fan pondered about this question for the first time. He closed his eyes and recalled the scenes where he learned from immortal sovereign Zido in the illusory realm. It felt like a dream. However, was that dream real? I can't see through it. I can't see through it. Ning Fan opened his eyes and looked at the moonlight that filled the sky. He sighed softly. This moonlight, was it real or fake? Or was it real or fake? Cultivating from a mortal to a vein-opening cultivator was the process of cultivating magic power from nothingness to substance. The purpose of cultivating all the way from the vein-opening realm was to cultivate from the corporeal to the void. Eventually, they would break the void and become a void fragmentation realm cultivator. If a void fragmentation realm cultivator becomes an immortal, he would become a life immortal. Above the life immortal realm, one needed to be true. How many immortals had painstakingly comprehended the true Tao? What was the true Tao? Why did the immortals revere it so much? I can't see through it. I can't see through it at all. Just like the current Ning Fan, he couldn't see through this moonlight. Even though I succeeded in attaining the void inquiry stage in the Star Palace by luck, I could only control a trace of the power of the void. I haven't truly comprehended the profound mysteries of the void. Currently, I still can't tell the difference between what is real and what is fake. However, I want to see the truth of this moonlight clearly. Ning Fan rarely calmed himself down and sat cross-legged in front of the window under the moonlight. He looked at the moonlight, deep in thought. His mind was filled with memories. When I was young, I would look at the moon. It was like a sugar cake. When he was young, he would watch the moon. The moon was like a jade plate. When cultivating, one would look at the moon, and the moon was like a precious ring. When one looks at the moon in a different state of mind, the moon will seem to be different. When one looks at the moon from different places, the moon will give a cultivator different feelings. Even though the time and space are different, and the feeling that the moonlight gives me is different, this moon has always been the same since the beginning. If that's the case, the existence of the moon and man should be real. The moon is real. Ning Fan's eyes revealed a profound look. He looked at the moonlight again and fell into deep thought. Because the moon exists, it is real. Because the moonlight cannot be touched, it is illusory. However, even the illusory moonlight can also affect a cultivator's state of mind. It can make a cultivator from a foreign land feel a sense of loss. Illusory objects might not necessarily be unable to affect a person's heart. This is the power of the void. Even though the moon is real, the moonlight is illusory. My hometown is real, but the memories of my hometown are illusory. Illusory. Reality. Ning Fan's temperament changed gradually. It became faintly discernible. He raised his hand and tried to grab the moonlight. However, he couldn't catch the moonlight. He sighed softly. I still can't catch the moonlight. If a cultivator who truly painstakingly cultivates the void inquiry stage can catch the moonlight as easily as catching a piece of silk. Looking at the faintly discernible moonlight, Ning Fan suddenly had an impulse. He wanted to ignite the moonlight. If he could do that, he would be able to ignite the illusory objects and easily injure void refinement realm cultivators. Can I ignite the moonlight? Ning Fan suddenly stood up and stood under the moonlight. He closed his eyes and performed a hand seal with all 10 of his fingers. Traces of fiery light surrounded his body. He suddenly raised one of his fingers and pressed it against the moon in the night sky. The fire between his fingers was the yin-yang flame that was formed by the fusion of ice and fire. Its power was boundless. However, no matter how the flames burned, the moonlight remained the same. It was impossible for it to be burned. As expected, I can't ignite the moonlight. Perhaps one day when my cultivation base is strong enough, I can ignite the moonlight and create a magic technique that will shock the world. He could comprehend the transformation from nothingness to reality. However, he still needed to cultivate for a long time before he could comprehend the transformation from reality to nothingness. When Ning Fan was sensing the moonlight, there was also a lonely figure floating on a boat on the sea, looking at the sky full of moonlight. It was a middle-aged man with only one arm. He wore white robes and his face was full of vicissitudes. He carried a huge sword on his back. He sat alone under the moonlight, looking at the waning moon on the sea, the ebb and flow of the tide and the lonely scenery. He did not laugh nor cry. Who is she? Where is she? The man took out a blood-red gourd from his waist and gulped down a mouthful of it. Still, he did not laugh nor cry. Zhou Ming. This young man is extremely ruthless and cold when facing his enemies. However, he is kind to mortals. This young man has the guts to kill the revered elder of the Rain Palace and massacre the entire external endless sea. He is an extremely audacious person. I have already left a letter in the Lost World Palace, preparing to test this young man and grant him the revered elder token. Is this young man really a bloodthirsty devil? The white-robed middle-aged man was sitting alone on the boat. While he was panicking, a nascent soul realm ferocious beast that was even larger than a mountain emerged from the dark sea, glaring at him. Roar. Apparently, this ferocious beast wanted to devour this white-robed middle-aged man along with the boat. The white-robed middle-aged man's eyes turned cold. An extremely terrifying sword intent spread out from his body. His cold eyes swept across the nascent soul realm ferocious beast. Scram or die. With just a gaze, the nascent soul realm ferocious beast's demon core suddenly shattered. Its eyes were filled with extreme fear. It could already tell that the white-robed middle-aged man in front of it was a terrifying figure that it absolutely could not provoke. With just a gaze he could crush its demon core. With just a gaze, he could even subdue a divine transformation realm and void refinement realm cultivators. Wu! The ferocious beast let out a respectful growl and obediently dived back into the sea, not daring to disturb the white-robed middle-aged man while he was drinking. This man is very terrifying. White-robed sword god, Yin Tianjue. Chapter 381. Bei Xiaoman finally understood what it felt like to be raped 18 times. Oh my god! She had just been pushed down by Ning Fan for the third time, and she had already shamelessly begged for mercy. Her swollen body was unbearably painful. In the end, Ning Fan let her go. She couldn't imagine that Ning Fan was still able to push her down even though she had raped him 18 times in a row. Did you take aphrodisiac? I was wrong. I won't dare to resist you anymore. Bei Xiaoman scolded and begged at the same time. She really couldn't take it anymore. This was her first time. I need to take aphrodisiac? Do you think my yin-yang transformation is made of white? Finally, Ning Fan spared Bei Xiaoman's life. If I don't teach this little girl a good lesson, she would certainly turn the world upside down in the future. Just like that, Bei Xiaoman fell into a deep sleep with the help of a few maids, a sweet smile on her face. After a night of pleasure, he walked down the southern tower. One could imagine how hard the two spirit-severing old ancestors, Stone Warrior and Lu Qing, were to accept the reality. His entire body was filled with Bei Xiaoman's body fragrance. There was also the unique scent of having sex. Do you even need to ask what happened between them? Fellow Taoist Zhou Yu and the fourth young miss Lu and Shi both had the heart to kill each other. Nothing happened between me and Xiaoman. Do you believe me? Ning Fan asked with a smile. I don't believe you. Really? Ning Fan declined to comment. He was not a frivolous person who would flaunt the pleasure he had under the bed. He wanted to relax while Bei Xiaoman was asleep. After she woke up, there were still some things he needed to do. Before he left the southern tower, divine god Lu Qing secretly passed him a jade card. There was only one sentence in the post. If you pass my test, you will receive the Elder's Order. Cloud. That handwriting was arrogant and domineering, but it also had a hint of melancholy. According to the rules of the Rain Palace, even if one had become a revered elder, he would still need to pass the test of at least one void fragmentation realm expert in order to obtain the token of revered elder. The revered elder token. Originally, Ning Fan thought that Luo Jun would at most promise him a title. The token of the venerable elders would only be tested and obtained when he went to the Rain Palace of the Middle State in the future. Who would have thought that he would have the chance to obtain the elder token? However, Ning Fan did not know which void fragmentation realm expert of the Rain Palace would look for him and grant him the token of respect for the elderly. Outside the southern tower, the sun was shining brightly. Ning Fan bathed in the sunlight, slightly calming his emotions that were experiencing the ups and downs of his emotions. Bei Xiaoman's taste is really good. Ning Fan could not help but admit that Bei Xiaoman was his quarrelsome lover. After playing around with her for a while, he unknowingly found it hard to forget her. He actually fell in love with this unruly and willful little girl. It was really ridiculous. But who could live without being ridiculous? After he woke up, he learned from Bei Xiaoman's personal maidservant that Bei Xiaoman had used half a piece of black crystal to heal his injuries. Only Ning Fan knew what that crystal was. It was the item that Bei Xiaoman's elder sister, Yuan Yao, had given to Bei Xiaoman through Ning Fan. After a few twists and turns, it had returned to Ning Fan. Speaking of which, not only did Ning Fan have a relationship with Yuan Yao, but he also took Bei Xiaoman as his wife. He was really a little lawless. However, he was such a lawless person. The only thing he could do was to treat every woman who had feelings for him well. The woman he loved had never asked him for a promise. This was the reality of the cultivation world. Along the way, Ning Fan had been constantly walking on the edge of death. Perhaps one day he might die. Perhaps every woman would have been aware of the fact that Ning Fan might die one day when they promised their body and soul to Ning Fan. All of them had considered the possibility that Ning Fan might die one day. As a cultivator, it's already hard enough to struggle to live on. If I want to live happily, it's even more luxurious. If I can meet someone who knows me and loves me while I'm alive, my death will not be in vain. The life of a cultivator is filled with killings and storms. Life and death are up to the heavens. We float along with the waves and only get drunk today. Get drunk. I remember that there are 3 major forces in this Penglai immortal island. Other than the Lost World Palace, there's also the Pill Cauldron Gate and the Green Bamboo Palace. The Pill Cauldron Gate has already been subdued by me. There are only a few old friends in it. It's the same whether I go or not. As for the Green Bamboo Palace, it's known as the #1 winemaking sect in the external endless sea. However, I've never been to Penglai Immortal Island before. What a pity. If I want to get drunk today, I can go there to buy some spiritual wine. Unfortunately, good wine is easy to get, but it's hard to find a drinking buddy. I have countless beauties but only a few brothers. Ning Fan walked on the Penglai Immortal Island without flying or riding on an immortal mount. He just walked on foot. His pace was slow, but every step he took covered a huge distance. The distance of tens of thousands of li from the Black Tortoise City to the Green Bamboo Palace only took him 100 breaths. Moreover, he had purposely slowed down his speed. When the cultivators along the way saw Ning Fan's terrifying speed, each of them looked as if they had seen a ghost. They rubbed their eyes, trying to see Ning Fan's figure clearly. However, they could not find any traces of Ning Fan at all. They just thought that their eyes were playing tricks on them. When he arrived outside the Green Bamboo Palace, he noticed that the palace seemed to be holding a banquet. As long as one paid a certain amount of immortal jade, one could enter the banquet. It was really a coincidence. He did not want to cause panic among the cultivators. Currently, there was almost no one in the external endless sea who did not recognize Ning Fan's appearance. Ning Fan flicked his sleeves and wiped his face. Using the sense-concealing art that he had not used for a long time, he turned into a white-robed scholar. As soon as he stepped into the entrance of the Green Bamboo Palace, he was stopped by a ferocious-looking man. Stop right there. Those who wish to enter the banquet need to pay immortal jade and get a bamboo token of the corresponding grade. Depending on the grade of the bamboo token, you can taste the spiritual wine of different grades at will. The higher the grade of the bamboo token, the better the spiritual wine you can drink. Of course, you can only taste each wine once. If you want to drink it again, you need to pay immortal jade to buy it. The burly man looked at Ning Fan with disdain. This burly man's name was Chao Kong. He was an early harmonious spirit expert. With his experience as a harmonious spirit expert, he actually did not sense any strong magical power from Ning Fan. Immediately, he deduced that Ning Fan was probably just a vein opening junior. A vein opening junior was nothing in a low-grade cultivation country. His status was even lower in the endless sea. Such a person also wanted to enter the Green Bamboo Palace. Did he know how much immortal jade it would cost to enter the palace? Bamboo token? Can I trouble fellow Taoists to introduce the different grades of the bamboo token and the fees? Ning Fan naturally noticed the disdain in Yen Zhong's eyes, but he just dismissed it with a smile. He was already used to a harmonious spirit young man. Now he would not be so bored to get angry with a harmonious spirit junior. Fellow Taoist? You are not allowed to call me fellow Taoist, the burly man said with displeasure. Then he thought, why should I get angry with a vein opening junior? I am a harmonious spirit old monster with a high status. With this thought, the burly man's anger subsided a little. He allowed Ning Fan to call him whatever he wanted. Yellow grade bamboo token 1000 immortal jade. The highest one can drink is a second grade spirit wine. Profound grade bamboo token 10,000 immortal jade. The highest one can drink is a third grade spirit wine. Earth grade bamboo token 100,000 immortal jade. The highest one can drink is a fourth grade spirit wine. Heaven grade bamboo token 1 million immortal jade. The highest one can drink is a fifth grade spirit wine. The burly man listed all the bamboo tokens in detail. He was secretly surprised because of Ning Fan's reaction. Ordinary cultivators would more or less show some surprise on their faces when they heard this frightening price. 1,000 immortal jade was expensive for a harmonious spirit cultivator. 10,000 immortal jade was expensive for a gold core cultivator. 100,000 immortal jade was expensive for a nascent soul cultivator. 1 million immortal jade was expensive for a spirit-severing cultivator. Even mini gold core and nascent soul seniors would slightly change their expression when they heard this price. However, Ning Fan's expression did not change after hearing this price. This kind of calmness was definitely not an act. It was the indifference of someone who had experienced countless big events. The burly man secretly speculated. Could it be that this white-robed scholar in front of him is a peerless expert? No. Impossible. He is just a young boy. How can he be a peerless expert? He is probably a young master of some clan who has no concept of money at all. With this thought, the burly man despised Ning Fan even more. There is no doubt about it. Ning Fan has soft skin and tender flesh. No matter how I look at him, he is a young master. He is just a vein-opening realm cultivator, and he dares to wander around Penglai Immortal Island alone. Isn't he afraid of being killed and robbed? Sure enough, he is a young master who has never seen the world. He doesn't even know what immortal jade is. Ignoring the burly man's speculation, Ning Fan closed his eyes and spread his spirit sense. His void refinement realm spirit sense covered 100,000 li. That's right. After his cultivation base had a breakthrough, his spirit sense had also broken through to the void refinement realm. Nothing in the green bamboo palace could hide from Ning Fan's eyes and ears. After scanning the place with his spirit sense, he found out that the so-called 5th grade spiritual wine could only help early spirit-severing realm cultivators improve their cultivation base a little. To be more precise, it was a medicinal wine. It did not attach much importance to the taste of the wine. The 4th grade and 3rd grade spiritual wine were brewed for nascent soul realm and gold core realm cultivators respectively. Even the 2nd grade and 1st grade spiritual wine were brewed for harmonious spirit realm and vein-opening realm cultivators. Apart from that, there were some mortal wines that were not even in the 1st grade. They had no medicinal power at all. Most of them were famous brews in the mortal world. Ning Fan's eyes lit up. What he wanted to drink now was the mortal wine that had no medicinal power. He did not want to cultivate but to get drunk. I want a yellow rank bamboo token. Here is 1,000 immortal jade. Ning Fan finally decided to exchange for a yellow rank bamboo token. Of course, he could exchange for a heaven rank bamboo token. However, it would be too eye-catching. After all, those who exchanged for a heaven rank bamboo token were all spirit-severing realm cultivators. Thank you. 1,000 immortal jade. The burly man finally squeezed out a smile. At least he was sure of one thing. That was Ning Fan was richer than a harmonious spirit realm cultivator, even though he was just a vein-opening realm junior. Didn't he see that Chao Kong was still guarding the door and had no money to drink? A vein-opening realm junior was willing to spend 1,000 immortal jade to buy wine. He really didn't know how his elders taught him. Is this how money is spent? While cursing in his heart, Chao Kong realized that Ning Fan would be a good fat sheep. He rolled his eyes and suddenly came up with an idea. He handed Ning Fan a yellow rank bamboo token and flattered Ning Fan. Little friend, this is a yellow rank bamboo token. I wonder if you need a guide to bring you to taste good wine. I am not talented, but I am willing to bring you to the palace for a tour. Oh, fellow Taoist wants to bring me to the green bamboo palace? How can I accept fellow Taoist's kindness? Ning Fan's eyelids twitched. With his 500 years of wisdom, he could naturally see through Chao Kang's intention. Hee, you deserve it, you deserve it. I feel like old friends at the first sight of you. I really regret not having met you earlier. It's just that I'm short of money. If you're willing to help me buy a yellow level bamboo plate, I'll definitely bring you around the green bamboo palace and make your trip worthwhile. Chao Kong vowed. So that's how it is. That's good. Wine is tasteless when you are alone. Come with me. I will help you pay for this 1,000 immortal jades. Ning Fan didn't care about Chao Kang's thoughts or the 1,000 immortal jades. In Chao Kang's eyes, it was ridiculous for Ning Fan to be cheated of 1,000 immortal jades. In Ning Fan's eyes, it was ridiculous for Chao Kang to scheme for a mere 1,000 immortal jades. Immortal jades? Killing a few people would earn tens of millions of immortal jades. Was there a need to be so tired? Oh, little friend is really willing to buy this bamboo token for me. Chao Kang suddenly felt a bit guilty. He felt that as a dignified harmonious spirit senior, Deceiving a vein-opening junior was too shameless. This guilt made Chao Kong decide to bring Ning Fan to drink a few types of good wine later. At least, he couldn't let Ning Fan spend 1,000 immortal jades in vain. Ning Fan saw Chao Kang's expression and nodded with satisfaction. This Chao Kong was greedy and cunning, but it was only because he was forced by life. His nature wasn't bad. Being able to mend his ways and be a drinking buddy was enough. My name is Chao Kong. May I know little friend's name? Chao Kong asked enthusiastically. This time, he was really enthusiastic. Yin Fan. Ning Fan remembered that his surname was Yun, so he made up a fake name. After exchanging his name, Chao Kong happily handed over the task to the harmonious spirit attendants. He then followed Ning Fan into the Green Bamboo Palace to drink. The other harmonious spirit attendants revealed an envious expression when they saw that Chao Kong had found a rich man. After Ning Fan and Chao Kong entered the Green Bamboo Palace, two ladies dressed like young ladies, one in blue and the other in green, followed behind them. 12 young maids followed behind them as they arrived outside the Green Bamboo Palace. Each of the young maids revealed their vein-opening cultivation while the two young ladies revealed their harmonious spirit cultivation. However, this was just a disguise. The two young ladies were actually spirit-severing old ancestors. The lady in blue was holding an oil paper umbrella. She had a gentle appearance and didn't say a word. It seemed like she had a lot on her mind and didn't want to talk. However, after Ning Fan entered the Green Bamboo Palace, he gently raised his head and looked at the palace with a thoughtful expression. His eyes flickered slightly. Sister Tantai, what are you looking at? Is that vein-opening junior very good-looking? The other lady in green teased. Nothing, I'm just a little concerned. That young master seems to be extraordinary. The lady with the umbrella pursed her lips and smiled. Sister must be joking. He's just a vein-opening junior. How extraordinary can he be? Speaking of which, aren't we representing the Purple Mansion Academy to recruit the vice sect master of the Bai Yao sect? Why did we come to the Green Bamboo Palace? Could it be that sister wants to drink too much? You're so smart. Yes, I want to drink too much. Sister Green Bead, do you want to complain to master? Ouch, I wouldn't dare. Green Bead bought a heaven-grade bamboo plate while Miss Tantai bought a yellow-grade bamboo plate. They actually made the same choice as Ning Fan. Unfortunately, because Green Bead bought a heaven bamboo plate, many cultivators guessed that she was a spirit-severing old ancestor. No one dared to look down on this group of ladies anymore. Miss Tantai's wish to drink in a low-key manner was shattered. This group of people was even personally received by the palace master of the Green Bamboo Palace. How could they be low-key? Not long after the ladies entered the Green Bamboo Palace, a white-robed middle-aged man with a weathered face and a sword on his back appeared outside the palace. He looked at the ladies thoughtfully. Which righteous genius of the Purple Mansion Academy of the Southern Heaven Immortal World is interested in? The white-robed middle-aged man only thought about those ladies for a moment before putting them aside. He didn't come here for the Purple Mansion Academy. He came here to test someone and grant him the token of revered elders. He touched his glabella and a divine star flashed. The white-robed middle-aged man turned into a white-robed scholar. There was no sword on his back, but there was a sword in his heart. His broken arm also turned into an illusion with his magic power. He recalled Ning Fan's back and fell into deep thought. This was his first time seeing Ning Fan. Even before this, he had already heard about Ning Fan's character. Rumor has it that Ning Fan was a murderous devil. Rumor has it that he slaughtered sex without mercy. Rumor has it that he was lustful and had thousands of women every day. The white-robed middle-aged man couldn't figure out how such a person could become a revered elder of the Rain Palace. Even if it was for that item, the Divine Sovereign's decision was a little hasty. However, after seeing Ning Fan with his own eyes, the white-robed middle-aged man suddenly had a feeling that rumors were not trustworthy. Most of the time, one could tell a person's character by looking at their back. This was because people could disguise their expressions, but they could not disguise the loneliness of their back. The white-robed middle-aged man realized that Ning Fan was just like him. They were both a little lonely and desolate. Zhou Ming alias Yin Fan, entering the Green Bamboo Palace just to get drunk. What an interesting kid. Yin Fan. Why does this name sound so familiar? The white-robed middle-aged man fell into silence. He had forgotten something very important that was even more important than his own life. He had even forgotten how infuriated he was when he killed the fourth prince of the Rain Palace. He had been searching for an answer for his entire life. White-robed sword god, Yin Tianjue. His back was as lonely as Ning Fan. Chapter 382. Inside the Green Bamboo Palace, there were hundreds of wine houses. Those who could sell spirit wine here were at least harmonious spirit old devils. Most of the vein-opening disciples could only set up simple stalls along the street to display their spirit wine for the passing cultivators to drink. The free tasting fees were recorded in the accounts and paid by the sect. The immortal jades used by the cultivators to buy the wine were collected by the disciples of the Green Bamboo Palace. This sect made spirit wine as a business. The purpose of this wine party was to select disciples who were good at wine making and focus on training them. In order to earn immortal jades and gain the attention of the sect, every disciple of the Green Bamboo Palace tried their best to attract customers. Ning Fan walked along the bamboo street while smelling the fragrance of the wine. His murderous heart was at peace at this moment. The old monster said that women and wine were indispensable, and it was indeed true. Along the way, there were many female stalls with kind eyes and flirtatious glances, causing many male cultivators to stop in their tracks. Only Ning Fan remained calm, and only smiled at the women who came and went. He would occasionally taste a cup, but he never bought or commented on the quality of the spirit wine. After drinking the wine, he turned around and left. Moreover, most of the spirit wines he drank were first grade, there were almost no second grade ones. Chao Kong, who was following behind him, complained incessantly. He followed Ning Fan in order to drink more second-grade spirit wine, and use it to break through the bottleneck of intermediate harmonious spirit realm. He wanted to lead Ning Fan to the high-grade wine stalls, but Ning Fan seemed to know the way, and went towards the low-grade wine stalls. In the end, he actually went to the first-grade wine section that specialized in first-grade spirit wines. Could it be that Ning Fan knew the way? No, this was the first time a vein-opening junior came to the Green Bamboo Palace. How could he know the way? This is the first time this little friend Yin Fan came to the Green Bamboo Palace. Unless he can use his divine sense to scan the surroundings and understand the layout of the palace, there is no way he can recognize the way divine sense to scan the palace? This is simply too inconceivable. The moment this thought rose, it was immediately extinguished by Chao Kong. He only felt that his idea was too ridiculous. Using divine sense to scan the layout of the Green Bamboo Palace was unrealistic. Not to mention the fact that Ning Fan was a vein-opening junior without divine sense. Even if he had divine sense, there was a peak nascent realm sense isolation formation inside the palace. Unless it was a spirit-severing old ancestor, who else could use divine sense to scan the palace? Forget it. Since young friend Yin wants to drink some first-grade spirit wine, I'll accompany him for the time being. After all, he's the one paying for the wine. Chao Kong still had some good points. After receiving money, he would do things honestly. Chao Kong no longer cared about the grade of the spiritual wine. He simply followed behind Ning Fan. Whenever he saw a spiritual wine, he would take a cup and gulp it down like a cow chewing on a peony. Ning Fan did not pay attention to Chao Kong. His heart was immersed in the cups of wine, using the wine to calm his mind. Cup after cup of spirit wine entered his throat and transformed into a warm current that aroused traces of comprehension. When people were sad and in pain, they would drink to dilute their sorrow. When people were happy and celebrating, they would drink to raise the atmosphere. Why sadness can be diluted, and why joy is more engraved in my heart. Why are there people who can't get drunk even after 1,000 cups? But when they are sad, they get drunk after just 1 cup. Ning Fan pondered inwardly. All of his Tao comprehension flowed into the wine. Gradually, he realized that what Jiuzhong Yuan said made sense. Alcohol couldn't change a person's mood. What changed was the heart itself. Mortals could not handle alcohol and would get drunk. Cultivators had magic power to protect themselves. Why would they still get drunk? Looking at the cup of wine in his hand, Ning Fan's comprehension deepened. He realized that as he comprehended the Tao of wine, his divine intent began to improve. It was not a sublimation from great accomplishment to perfect accomplishment. Instead, it was a qualitative change. On the Star Island, he had initially combined the three intents of divine, demon and devil into one. He drew the 7 apricot snow scenery in the sky and created the wind and snow technique. In the Lost World Tower, he had completely combined the three intents, allowing them to enter a primordial state. The 8th grade divine intent of rain, the 6th grade devil intent of mountain, and the 1st grade Fuli demon intent. What was the brand new divine intent that was obtained after combining the three intents? And what grade was it? Ningfan had no idea. However, the brand new divine intent was displayed in the 7 apricot snow scenery. It was just that its grade was above the 1st grade. Intents were divided into 9 grades. Demon General Liban's Carp demon intent was at the 9th grade, while the Fuli demon intent and the 4 Saints demon intent were at the 1st grade. What was the level of intents above the 1st grade? The cup of wine in his hand was like a primer, leading Ningfan to have a series of comprehensions. Ningfan realized that this wine must have something in common with his brand new divine intent. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to be absent-minded just because of a cup of wine. What exactly is my new divine intent? And what grade is it? What great Tao does this cup of wine contain? Why can it make me absent-minded? I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. Ningfan picked up the 1st grade spiritual wine again and put it down again and again. When he passed by the stalls, he was disappointed again and again. No, it's not. This is not the wine that he wanted. These wines could not give him a thorough comprehension and could not allow his divine intent to advance again. Ningfan's mind became more and more agitated. This was a sign that he had failed in his comprehension and the birth of his heart devil. In front of his eyes, waves of hatred and the past flashed. It was the humiliation that he suffered in Hai Ning of Wu country, when he was still immortal. Why would these past events disturb my mind at this moment? Ningfan's frown deepened. Chao Kong, who was following behind Ningfan, was somewhat startled. Why did Yunfan suddenly become so picky? Could it be that he is going to look for a 2nd grade spiritual wine instead of a 1st grade spiritual wine? Ningfan frowned as if someone owed him immortal jades. While Chao Kong was pondering, he was interrupted by the sound of coughing blood in front of him. This wine. Cough. Ningfan lifted the wine cup and took a sip. His face was filled with surprise. At the next moment, the past that had been bothering him turned into a mouthful of dirty blood, and he coughed it out. This scene made Chao Kong jump in fright. Why did he cough blood when he was just drinking? Chao Kong walked closer to the stall and glanced at it with a cold gaze. The wine that made him cough blood was just a 1st grade spiritual wine. No, it was barely a 1st grade spiritual wine. The medicinal power of this wine was so thin that it was only slightly stronger than ordinary wine. No, it was just an ordinary wine with a slight medicinal taste. Little friend Yun is coughing blood. Could it be that this wine is poisonous? Or is it because the medicinal power of this wine is too strong that it hurt little friend Yun's immortal veins? It can't be. The taste of the wine is so faint that it doesn't have any medicinal power. Is it really poisonous? Chao Kong suspiciously picked up a cup of wine and smelled it. With a strange expression, he drank it all in one gulp and became even more puzzled. Strange, this wine tasted bad, but it didn't seem to be poisonous? Like water, it was so bland that it didn't even have the slightest bit of medicinal power. It was unable to raise his cultivation in the slightest. But it really wasn't poisonous. Chao Kong secretly pondered and couldn't find any reason to make Ningfan's cough blood. He had accepted Ningfan's money, so he couldn't be irresponsible for his safety. Is this wine brewed by you? Tell me, why did my friend vomit blood after drinking your wine? Chao Kang's eyes darkened as he glanced at the stall owner with a dignified expression. The stall owner was a young man with a cultivation of 3rd-level vein opening, pitifully weak. From Chao Kang's point of view, the most direct way to find out why Ningfan vomited blood was to ask the stall owner. The other party was only a 3rd-level vein opening cultivator, while Chao Kong was a harmonious spirit cultivator. In front of him, how could the young man dare to lie? Being questioned by Chao Kong, the young man's face turned pale. His brewing technique was indeed not good. This batch of wine was not even a first-grade wine, so it naturally wasn't a good wine. But even if it wasn't a good wine, at least the quality was not a problem. It was absolutely impossible for someone to vomit blood after drinking it. But after hearing Chao Kang's overbearing tone, the young man knew that if he didn't give Chao Kang a satisfactory answer, this matter would become big. Didn't you hear what Chao Kang said? The one vomiting blood was Chao Kang's friend. He was the friend of a harmonious spirit old monster. He, a vein-opening disciple, couldn't afford to offend him. Deacon Chao, this junior really doesn't know why this brother vomited blood, but this junior is willing to compensate. Good. Compensate. Take out the compensation, and my friend won't pursue this matter anymore. Chao Kang turned around and saw that Ning Fan had already wiped away the blood, and was deep in thought. Seeing that Ning Fan was fine, Chao Kang relaxed and didn't want to make this matter bigger. He was a disciple of the Green Bamboo Temple. If his sex wine made someone vomit blood, he would have an excuse to reprimand and ask for compensation, but he didn't think it was necessary to do anything to this disciple. Yes, this junior is willing to compensate with 10 immortal jades. The young man was a bit scared. Chao Kang was a harmonious spirit expert and an outer deacon of the Green Bamboo Temple. He was in charge of these new disciples. The young man was afraid of offending Chao Kang, so in order to make amends, he was naturally willing to pay. But this amount of money was a bit too little. 10 immortal jades? Chao Kang laughed in anger. He already gave this young man a chance to apologize, but this young man was so untactful. His wine made Ning Fan vomit blood, but he only had to pay 10 immortal jades. Who was Ning Fan? Even if he was just a vein-opening junior, he had a huge amount of immortal jades. He could casually give away 1,000 immortal jades, so why would he care about 10 immortal jades from this young man? 100 immortal jades. Chao Kang's tone was cold. No, impossible. 100 immortal jades is this junior's entire fortune. The young man begged for mercy. Humph. Chao Kang's heart was filled with anger. He didn't care anymore. He already gave this young man a chance, but this young man didn't have the sincerity to make amends. Accepting someone's money to eliminate a calamity, he had received a total of 1,000 immortal jades from Ning Fans. You come here. You will pay the same amount of blood he vomited. Chao Kang rolled up his sleeves as if he was about to beat someone, scaring the young man silly. This scene made Ning Fan shake his head helplessly. This Chao Kang was a righteous person. He thought that he vomited blood was caused by this young man, so he wanted to help him. However, he was a dignified Ning Fan. Since when did he need a harmonious spirit junior to seek revenge from a vein-opening ant? Fellow Chao, don't be impatient. There is no problem with this wine. I vomited blood because of something else. It has nothing to do with him. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve to block. Chao Kang felt his fists soften and couldn't muster any strength, making him feel very strange. Little friend Yin, are you really all right? I am all right. This wine is not bad. I want all of it. How much is it? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Ugh, you still want to buy it. Aren't you afraid of vomiting blood again? Chao Kang said with a strange expression. I won't vomit blood again. That mouthful of blood was formed when I was young due to hatred. I only managed to vomit it out today. Thanks to this mouthful of blood, I finally understood why this wine could make me gain enlightenment, so that's why. With the help of this shallow cup of wine, Ning Fan actually gained great enlightenment. Brother Yin, this wine is brewed by me. It's worth a total of 200 immortal jade, but I don't dare to take your money. You are Senior Chao's friend. I will give this wine to you as a gift. The young man was too afraid of Chao Kang. He would never dare to take money from Ning Fan. Is that so? You don't want to take money, but I, Yin Fan, can't take your things for free. This wine is very good. It's the wine of my hometown. Your ancestor is a cultivator of Wu country, one of the 800 cultivation countries, right? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Yes, Brother Yun's ancestor is also a cultivator of Wu country. The young man was delighted, feeling as if he had met an old friend in a foreign land. Yes, the wine of Wu country is always unforgettable. There are memories and resentment. I thought I have forgotten the grudges of the past, but in the end, I realized that there are too many things in this world that can't be let go. That mouthful of blood is still in my heart. Until a moment ago, when I drank the wine you brewed, my mind became clear. Only then could I cough it out. Hatred is not that easy to let go. The wine cannot dilute the memories. What is forgotten is the human heart. Ningfan's words stunned Chao Kong and the young man. Both of them were baffled. Ningfan didn't explain much. He patted his storage pouch and took out a bottle of vein-opening Dan and gave it to the young man. You don't want immortal jades? Fine, I will give you the Dan. Your personality is too weak. You can't always endure being bullied by others. A cultivator should always have a straight spine in order to have the opportunity to seek the Tao. He left the pills behind and kept all the spiritual wine with a flick of his sleeve. Then he left the place, leaving Chao Kong completely dumbfounded. Vein-opening Dan. It can't be wrong. Ningfan gave the young man an entire bottle of vein-opening Dan. At least 20 of them. How much is this worth? At least 1,000 immortal jades. Buying a pile of useless mortal wine and spending 1,000 immortal jades was truly too extravagant. What a waste. Money shouldn't be used like this. Even if this little friend Yun has no concept of money, he should understand the preciousness of vein-opening Dan. Or could it be that this little friend Yun's cultivation is not strong, but his clan has a great background, and is used to seeing vein-opening Dan, so he doesn't care about this? Could it be that there is a gold core in his clan? Chao Kong took a deep breath and looked at Ningfan's back. He felt that his guess was correct. If he isn't a descendant of a gold core clan, how could he be so extravagant? Chao Kong looked at the young man with a complicated gaze and coldly said, My friend is fine. Consider yourself lucky. You continue to set up your stall and do not mention what happened before to anyone. Yes, this junior won't speak carelessly. The young man held the bottle of vein-opening Dan and was so excited that his heart almost jumped out of his throat. Chao Kong coldly snorted and quickly chased after Ningfan. Ningfan finally left the first-grade spirit wine area, but before he could be happy, he saw Ningfan enter the mortal wine area. This time, Ningfan made up his mind to completely drink mortal wine. Chao Kong wanted to cry but no tears came out. He followed Ningfan because he wanted to eat and drink well, not drink mortal wine. Little friend Yin, mortal wine doesn't taste good. I have a harmonious spirit friend in the Green Bamboo Palace who brewed an extremely delicious second-grade spirit wine. Why don't I bring you there to drink? If you like it, you can buy a few bottles for me. That will be even better. Don't worry, I have a good relationship with that person. It won't be hard to give him a discount. Chao Kong almost begged. No need, I think mortal wine is good. Sigh. Chao Kong sighed heavily. He thought to himself, Ningfan definitely doesn't know anything about wine. Even an idiot would know that first and second grade spirit wine is better than mortal wine. But he insisted on drinking mortal wine. That's right, Ningfan definitely doesn't know anything about wine. He just wants to drink for fun. Chao Kong really wanted to leave Ningfan alone and take the yellow bamboo token to the second grade wine area to drink to his heart's content. But when he thought that Ningfan didn't know anything about wine, he was worried that Ningfan would be deceived and spend a lot of money to buy mortal wine. Forget it, I will follow little friend Yun to prevent him from being deceived. Cough cough. It seems like I won't be able to drink a single second-grade spirit wine by staying by little friend Yun's side today. It was impossible for Chao Kong to know what Ningfan was thinking. Ningfan's mind was immersed in the Wu wine brewed by that young man. He patted his storage pouch and took out a jar of Wu wine. He drank it in one gulp with a heroic spirit. Good wine. Ningfan praised. You have definitely never tasted a real good wine before. Chao Kong criticized in his mind. Chao Kong cared about the medicinal power of the wine, but Ningfan cared about the principles of the wine. He used a mouthful of Wu wine to suppress the resentment of the past and coughed out the blood clots. His mind became clear. The Wu wine evoked my memories, so I coughed out the blood clots to suppress my heart's devil. Wine can dilute the sad memories and preserve the happy memories. Wine can make one forget, and wine can add to the mood. The former is to forget, the latter is to not forget. Forgetting is to erase the memories. Not forgetting is to freeze the memories. There are 3,000 great Taos in the wine, and what I see in the wine is the Tao of memory between forgetting and not forgetting. Memory. My new divine intent must be the word memory. Ningfan finally understood why he could improve his divine intent, because of wine. It was because he had fused 3 types of intent realm into one. The advanced intent realm was the word memory. Memory was an intent realm that was completely different from the other intent realms such as the rain intent and the mountain intent. The rain and the mountain had a material form, but the memory was ethereal and formless. The 9th grade intent realm was the first step of intent realm. Then, the memory intent realm that Ningfan created by fusing the 3 intents was the 2nd step of intent realm. It was even stronger than the Fuli intent realm. It was the process of turning from material to void. Ningfan secretly wondered if there was a 3rd step of divine intent in this world, turning from void to reality. Such a step was in line with the Tao of cultivation created by the immortal sovereign. The rain divine intent could control the weather. The mountain devil intent could imitate mountains. As for the memory intent, it could manipulate and change a cultivator's memories, causing a cultivator to lose his mind. In the ordinary wine area, Ningfan walked past the stalls. The wines that he tasted were all ordinary wines which were looked down upon by other cultivators. However, to Ningfan, these ordinary wines were incomparably precious. He drank them all in one gulp. Even though these wines were ordinary, they were enough to evoke Ningfan's memories. Scenes of gratitude, hatred, and killing flashed in his mind. As the memories alternated, Ningfan's memory intent realm improved step by step. From grand completion, it slowly moved towards grand completion. The memories that he cherished the most were the most ordinary times. The ones that he wanted to protect the most were his loved ones who had accompanied him from ordinary to the peak of the immortal Tao. Even though this wine is ordinary, it contains my memories. I was originally immortal. I cultivated to become an immortal, because I was unwilling to be humiliated. I defied immortality to protect my loved ones. The rain divine intent, the mountain devil intent, and the Fuli demon intent are 3 completely different intent realms. The reason why I was able to fuse them was because of my memories. I used my memories of the 7 apricot city to draw that scene of windy snow and cold plum blossoms. In this memory, I forcefully fused the 3 types of intent realms together. The new intent realm after the fusion is the 2nd step of cultivation. The memory intent realm. Previously, I didn't understand why cultivators would get drunk if mortals get drunk. Now I understand. When mortals get drunk, they get drunk on their bodies. When cultivators get drunk, they get drunk on their hearts. Magic power can protect the body but not the heart. If there is pain in the heart and you desire to get drunk, you will eventually get drunk. What is drunk? I used to ask myself and the answer I got was to die from wine or drunkenness. However, I still didn't understand what was dying. Now I know that it's my heart that is dying. If the heart is dead, the wine won't intoxicate you but you will get drunk on your own. Ningfan continued to drink. The first cup he drank showed that he was drunk and the next cup he drank was not drunk at all. He kept switching between being drunk and not drunk. His heart, on the other hand, was constantly choosing between forgetting or not forgetting in his memories. Love and hatred were 2 things that he could never forget. Other than these he could forget everything else. Chao Kong was secretly surprised. At this moment, Ningfan gave him an illusion that he could only look up to him. Ningfan's body had an aura that only spirit-severing realm-old monsters could see. This aura could infect Chao Kong. This aura was called the memory intent realm. Chao Kong stood beside Ningfan. The memories of the past emerged in his mind like a tidal wave, making him unable to control himself. When he was young, he bid farewell to his parents. When he achieved success in the Tao, his parents passed away. Each of the past appeared in Chao Kang's mind, making him shed tears. All of a sudden, he just wanted to drown his sorrows with wine. Gradually, he began to taste the mortal wine. Gradually, he became a little drunk. Because his heart was in a mess, disturbed by the power of Ningfan's memory. Chao Kong was even more shocked to find that his memory seemed to be changing, as if it was being tampered by someone. He had never heard of anyone who could tamper with memories. Soul searching and memory erasing was easy, but tampering with memories was difficult. What was memory? The word hui was samsara. The word I was memory. Memory was the memory that was preserved in samsara. Other than the heavenly Tao samsara, no one could tamper with it. Chao Kong secretly guessed that the strangeness in his body was caused by Ning Fan. For the first time, he began to doubt whether Ning Fan was at the vein-opening realm or not. Little friend Yin, who exactly are you? Could it be that you are a gold core realm senior? I don't think you are at the vein-opening realm. It's me. Ning Fan suddenly stopped walking. His eyes became clear, and he kept the power of memory. At this moment, his memory intent realm was only one step away from breaking through. He did not continue to comprehend because there was a group of people in front of him, blocking his way. A large group of cultivators surrounded 14 women. 12 of them were maids and 2 of them were masters, but he could not see them clearly. Everyone, quickly leave the mortal wine area. No mistakes are allowed. Miss Tantai wants to drink here. For harmonious spirit, old monsters strode forward, driving away the few cultivators in the mortal wine area. The 4 of them glanced at Ning Fan. When they saw that he was only at the vein-opening realm, they didn't think much of him. Then they looked at Chao Kong and 3 of them were startled. Only a middle-aged man sneered, as if he had an old grudge against Chao Kong. Chao Kong, an important guest has arrived. Why aren't you bringing your juniors out of this place? The man was called Gong Mao. He didn't get along well with Chao Kong, so his tone was extremely impolite. Chapter 383. Chao Kong, an esteemed guest has arrived. Why aren't you bringing your junior out of this place now? The man was called Gong Mao. He didn't get along well with Chao Kong, so his tone was extremely impolite. He didn't dare to provoke Chao Kong directly. He glanced at Ning Fan and thought that he was Chao Kang's junior. His expression turned gloomy. While he was scolding Chao Kong, he secretly shot out 3 sword lights from his finger at Ning Fan's dantian, trying to destroy a few of Ning Fan's immortal veins to teach Chao Kong a lesson. He didn't dare to kill Ning Fan in public, but destroying a few immortal veins. It's understandable for a senior to teach a junior a lesson, isn't it? Humph. Gong Mao. Who do you think you are? How dare you ask me to leave? How dare you? What are you doing? Chao Kang's eyes turned cold. Before he finished scolding, he saw Gong Mao sneaking an attack on Ning Fan, and immediately became furious. Even though he guessed that Ning Fan was a gold core cultivator, he felt that it was ridiculous to say it out loud. He had hurt Gong Mao's junior because of a personal grudge. Today, Gong Mao sneaked an attack on Ning Fan. It was obvious that he had the intention to take revenge. It was fine if he wanted to take revenge on Chao Kong, but he wanted to take revenge on Ning Fan. How could Chao Kong endure this? Chao Kong swept his palm wind, trying to destroy the 3 sword lights. Ning Fan spent money to treat him to a drink. If he got Ning Fan injured instead, it wouldn't be right. There was a Tao in cultivation. However, when his palm was about to catch the sword light trembled and moved half a foot horizontally, bypassing his palm wind and piercing towards Ning Fan again. The deflection of the sword light was too strange. Even Chao Kong did not expect it at all. Sword of Turning Path. You actually learned the Spirit Realm sword technique. Sword of Turning Path. Not good. Chao Kang's expression changed when he saw that the sword chi was about to hit Ning Fan's dantian. Then he was shocked. The sword chi was extremely fast, but Ning Fan was even faster. With a light flick of his sleeve, a gentle breeze swept up, and the 3 strands of spirit-grade sword chi were annihilated without a trace in the breeze, and they were collected by him. Chao Kong took a cold breath. What kind of technique is this, to be able to sweep up a breeze and easily take away 3 spirit realm sword chi? Little friend Yin, what are you? Before Chao Kong could react, Ning Fan took a step forward and flicked his sleeve. 3 undamaged sword lights suddenly flew out from his sleeve. With a flash, it struck Gong Yu's dantian, shattering all 100 of his immortal meridians and crippling them. Puff! Gong Mao fell heavily to the ground, coughing blood incessantly. His cultivation had almost instantly dropped back to the first level of the vein-opening realm. His eyes were filled with astonishment. It was clearly his sword chi that attacked Ning Fan. How could it be deflected by Ning Fan so casually? This was ridiculous. This method was too unimaginable. Chao Kong was even more astonished. Previously, he had guessed that Ning Fan's cultivation base was extraordinary. Now, the scene before him had clearly confirmed his speculation. Without a doubt, little friend Yun was an expert, but Chao Kong didn't know how strong he was. He was at least a harmonious spirit realm expert, and he might even be a gold core old monster that Chao Kong couldn't afford to offend. Unlike the two of them, the other harmonious spirit realm experts immediately exclaimed when they saw Gong Yu's Dantian being destroyed. Not good. Deacon Gong's immortal meridian was destroyed. As soon as these cries of alarm rang out, an even more overbearing voice rang out from behind the crowd. It was filled with anger. Who dares to harm my Gong clan's people? Courting death. A ray of light shot over. It was a gold core old monster who attacked Ning Fan without asking for the reason. This person was an intermediate gold core elder of the Green Bamboo Palace, the clan master of the Gong clan, and Gong Mao's elder. Seeing Gong Mao coughing blood on the ground and his immortal meridian destroyed, this person was enraged and wanted to protect his own. When he saw that the person who attacked was Ning Fan, and that Ning Fan's cultivation base was only at the vein opening realm, he patted his storage pouch without hesitation and took out a treasure seal, then attacked Ning Fan's head-on. Elder Gong. This subordinate will report this matter in detail. This is absolutely not fellow Yun's fault. Chao Kang's heart was filled with fear. He wasn't afraid of Gong Mao, but he was afraid of Elder Gong. After all, Elder Gong was a gold core old monster. However, seeing that Elder Gong attacked Ning Fans without asking for the reason, he subconsciously wanted to speak up for Ning Fans. However, before he could carefully explain, Elder Gong's treasure seal had already arrived. I don't care whose fault it is. My Gong clan cannot be bullied by others. The Gong clan's style of doing things was domineering. If you are not domineering, why would others be afraid of you? As one of the major clans of the Green Bamboo Palace, Gong clan had the right to do whatever they wanted in Penglai Immortal Island. However, this time, they had chosen the wrong target to be domineering. No matter how domineering the Gong clan was, could they be more domineering than Ning Fan? That seal was called the Mountain and River Seal. It was a high-grade magical treasure. Elder Gong had used this seal to kill an early gold core old monster. Chao Kong was still guessing that Ning Fan was a gold core cultivator, but after thinking about it carefully, even if Ning Fan was really a gold core cultivator, he would most likely be killed by Elder Gong's sneak attack. Get lost. Ning Fan snorted and casually flicked his sleeve. The soft and powerless sleeve blasted on the Mountain and River Seal. However, there was a rumbling sound of mountains and rivers collapsing, causing the eardrums of countless cultivators to bleed. Just one blow and the treasure seal was crushed into ashes. Then Ning Fan swept his gaze towards Elder Gong. His gaze was like a real substance, immediately making Elder Gong feel as if a needle was pricking his back. What kind of domineering gaze was this? The owner of this gaze had always been the one bullying others. When had he ever been bullied by others? Elder Gong's face turned pale when he met Ning Fan's gaze. He felt an irresistible pressure pressing down on his body, as if thousands of mountains were pressing down on him, rendering him unable to move. He felt a sharp pain in his dantian, as if thousands of blades were being minced into pieces. In the next moment, his gold core suddenly crumbled. His body abruptly retreated and blood splattered everywhere, as he fell to the ground in a sorry state. His cultivation had dropped to the early harmonious spirit realm in the blink of an eye. This was because Ning Fan was too lazy to kill. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to survive. Chao Kong was dumbfounded. What kind of person could destroy someone's gold core with just a gaze? A dignified gold core Elder Gong didn't even have the qualifications to stand beside Ning Fan. Could this little friend Yun Fan be a nascent soul old monster? Who dares to hurt people in my Green Bamboo Palace? As the old saying goes, if you beat the young, the old will come. Just as Elder Gong was injured, a woman's cold voice resounded. The person who spoke was the great palace lord of the Green Bamboo Palace, Ching Chu Chu. She had a slender figure, high breasts and plump buttocks. She was an out-and-out beautiful woman. However, her expression was a little arrogant. Her beautiful eyes glanced at Gong Mao and Elder Gong, who were coughing out blood on the ground. She gritted her teeth and her face turned cold. You did it. Who are you? How dare you behave atrociously in my green bamboo palace? How audacious! Without giving Ning Fan any chance to explain, the great palace lord flicked her wrist and a colorful ribbon shot out, entangling Ning Fan. She wouldn't be as reckless as Elder Gong. She wouldn't use a killing move the moment she attacked. After all, Ning Fan was able to destroy Elder Gong's gold core with just a gaze. He was at least a mid-nascent soul realm expert. Even Qing Chu wouldn't be willing to offend such an expert in the past. However, the Green Bamboo Palace had lost a great deal of face in front of the distinguished guests today. No matter what, she had to capture Ning Fan first. Seeing that even the great palace lord had taken action, Chao Kang's heart screamed. Even if Ning Fan was a nascent soul realm cultivator, he couldn't afford to offend the great palace lord. The great palace lord was a late nascent soul realm cultivator. She was a top-notch expert even in the external endless sea. That colorful ribbon was a famous supreme grade magic treasure, soft silk rope. It was refined from the natal spider silk of the wild beast snow spider. Moreover, this treasure still retained a trace of the treasure's spirit. Its magical effects were unparalleled. Qing Chu had once used this treasure to restrain a late nascent soul realm cultivator and killed him. Chao Kang's heart skipped a beat. He thought to himself, Ning Fan is probably going to die. Even if Ning Fan is a nascent soul realm cultivator, it would be difficult for him to resist this soft silk rope. However, Ning Fan did not evade the binding of the soft silk rope. Instead, his eyes were filled with disdain. He raised his palm and pointed at the void space. The soft silk rope trembled, and its spiritual nature was greatly damaged. Under the backlash, Qing Chu could not stand steadily and her face turned pale. Her soft silk rope actually lost its effect? All of a sudden, Ning Fan pointed his finger again. The soft silk rope, which was Qing Chu's natal treasure, actually showed a human-like fear. It strangely rolled back and bound Qing Chu tightly. The soft silk rope betrayed me. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with disdain. He had the ancestral blood of the Fu Li clan. How could a mere wild beast treasure spirit dare to touch him? He took a step forward and appeared in front of Qing Chu. He held her waist and slapped her buttocks for a dozen times. Pa. This scene was like an adult punishing a child for being unreasonable. However, the one being punished was the lord of the Green Bamboo Palace, who was extremely famous in the external endless sea. This scene was too unbearable to watch. Ning Fan did not kill Qing Chu, but punished her buttocks in front of everyone. This was worse than killing her. Countless cultivators were dumbfounded. Qing Chu, a dignified late nascent soul realm cultivator, was easily captured by Ning Fan without any strength to fight back. Ning Fan's strength was a little terrifying. Divine Transformation Realm. At this moment, no matter how foolish Chao Kang was, he could vaguely guess that Ning Fan's true cultivation base was undoubtedly at the Divine Transformation Realm. Unless he was a Divine Transformation Realm cultivator, who else could take down a late nascent soul realm cultivator so easily? Even Chao Kang could guess it. Who else could not? When they thought of Ning Fan being a Divine Transformation Realm old ancestor, countless cultivators broke out in cold sweat. A Divine Transformation Realm old ancestor was in existence that even the Green Bamboo Palace could not afford to offend. However, they did not know what level of Divine Transformation Realm Ning Fan was at. Who are you? Why did you humiliate me like this? Please let me go. Qing Chu was filled with fear. She fell into Ning Fan's arms and immediately lost all of her strength. Her magic power was sealed and she could only let Ning Fan slap her buttocks. She could not imagine that Ning Fan was actually a Divine Transformation Realm old ancestor. She actually offended a Divine Transformation Realm old monster for a gold core realm elder? Sister Chu, don't be afraid. So what if he's a Divine Transformation Realm cultivator? Don't you think it's too ungentlemanly to humiliate a girl in front of everyone? Let me help you vent your anger. A green-robed lady walked gracefully and calmly out of the crowd. Her beautiful eyes coldly swept across Ning Fan. Let go of her. Otherwise you will pay the price. As soon as she finished speaking, she gave out her last warning. She emitted the terrifying aura force of a late Divine Transformation Realm cultivator, and a strong wind swept across 10,000 li. She patted her storage pouch and took out a green silk handkerchief. The handkerchief glowed with precious light. It was actually a late divine transformation realm spiritual treasure. Late divine transformation realm. Some of the knowledgeable nascent soul realm old monsters exclaimed in surprise. They recognized the cultivation base of the green-robed lady. Chao Kong was bewildered when he heard the voice. How could this be? Why would a late divine transformation realm old monster appear in the green bamboo palace? All of them were legendary figures in the internal sea. Even if Ning Fan was a divine transformation realm expert, he would not be a match for a late divine transformation realm expert. Above the divine transformation realm, the difference between each level was like heaven and earth. It was extremely difficult to defeat a late divine transformation realm expert. Chao Kong was so scared that he wet his pants. Countless cultivators were so scared that they wet their pants, but Ning Fan was still wearing a cold smile. There's no end to it. Don't you guys ask for the reason when you do things? I, Zhou, have never been threatened by anyone in this world. I would like to see what kind of price you can make me pay if I don't let her go. Bumei's strong aura force spread out from his body. His baleful qi dyed half of the sky red and blood-red clouds covered the sky. At this moment, Ning Fan removed the sense-concealing art and revealed his true appearance. His appearance was the nightmare of all the cultivators in the Endless Sea. Currently, there was no one who did not know him in the external Endless Sea. Zhou Ming. Fellow Taoist Yin, you're actually venerated Ming. Chao Kong was at a loss of what to do. He actually drank and drank with the most ferocious devil lord of the external Endless Sea for half a day. He even despised Ning Fan throughout the journey. He's courting death. Countless cultivators' heartbeats quickened, and they found it hard to breathe. They recognized Ning Fan's identity. They could not resist his terrifying aura force. He's courting death. He's courting death. If one doesn't court death, he won't die. How did the Green Bamboo Palace offend venerated Ming? This is going to be the end of the sect. The moment Ning Fan released his aura force, the green-robed lady's face was filled with shock. She never expected that a skinny young man would have such a terrifying cultivation base. Peak divine transformation realm. There's no mistaking it. This white-robed young man is a peak divine transformation realm expert. Moreover, his bone age is only 500 years old. The Rain World is just a lower world. Since when did such a powerful genius appear in the lower world? A peak divine transformation realm expert, who is only 500 years old. Under the baleful qi that blotted out the sky, the green-robed lady's heart trembled. She actually began to retreat in fear. She could not imagine how many divine transformation realm cultivators Ning Fan had to kill to accumulate so much baleful qi. How could such a ferocious devil lord who kills without batting an eyelid exist in this world? Why didn't the immortal Emperor Zhang Tribulation kill him with a single heavenly tribulation? Trying to leave? Aren't you going to make me pay the price? Ning Fan took a step forward. His entire body turned invisible. At the next moment, he suddenly appeared behind the green-robed lady and pointed his plucking finger at her. The green-robed lady was almost defenseless and her back was attacked. Immediately, the force of the plucking finger spread to her entire body, causing her delicate body to turn limp and hot. Then she fell into Ning Fan's arms. Even though he was hugging a beauty on his left and right, Ning Fan did not show any tenderness towards her at all. Not every woman could make him feel tender and protective towards her. Slap, slap, slap. More than 10 slaps came from the green-robed lady's perky buttocks, almost smashing her soft and tender buttocks. A numbing electric current, accompanied by pain and humiliation, spread through his body. All of a sudden, the green-robed lady almost died from embarrassment and anger. How dare you humiliate me? How dare you humiliate me like this? I. She was so embarrassed and angry that she did not know what to say. Shut up. While the green-robed lady was struggling, another calm reprimanding voice was heard. It was a blue-robed lady holding a paper umbrella. She had a pair of eyes that were as gentle as rain. Her fine black hair was swaying with the wind, and she wore a blue headscarf on her head. She did not reveal any of her aura force, but it gave Ning Fan a heavy pressure. Young Master Zhou, please calm down. Sister Lu Zhu was insensible and attacked you without your permission. It was her fault. I wonder if you can give me a chance to apologize. If you don't mind, I'm willing to prepare some wine and apologize to you personally. At the same time, I have something to discuss with you. It's about your wife In Suchio. I believe you will be interested in it. The blue-robed lady's words were gentle, but her beautiful eyes were shining with wisdom. She was fully confident that Ning Fan would calm down after mentioning In Suchio. After all, he did not want to kill anyone in the first place. Up until now, he had yet to kill anyone. About Suchio? Who are you? Ning Fan loosened his hand and Qing Chuchu and the green-robed lady were thrown out of his arms. They fell on the ground in a sorry state. Both of them had the same appearance. Both of them were nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm old monsters. However, their eyes were filled with tears and they looked very pitiful. They struggled to stand up, but their walking posture was very unnatural. Their buttocks were probably swollen after being hit by Ning Fan. I heard that you are a romantic and affectionate man. I didn't expect that you are also a man who doesn't know how to cherish women. You are willing to humiliate such beautiful ladies and throw them on the ground. Is your heart made of stone? The blue-robed lady's tone was very gentle. No one could tell whether she was happy or angry. You haven't answered my question. Who are you? If you can't give me a satisfactory answer, even if you are just a half-step void refinement realm clone, I can still make you suffer the same fate as these two ladies. Ning Fan raised his palm and his eyes turned cold. It was this hand that had slapped the two ladies' buttocks one after another. In other words, if the blue-robed lady's answer was not satisfactory, Ning Fan would also slap her buttocks. Lecher. The blue-robed lady's face turned red and she said softly. She rolled her eyes at Ning Fan. She was obviously angry, but she still looked so charming. I am one of the goddesses of the Purple Mansion Academy. My name is Tantai Weiyu. This is Weiyu's sister. Her name is Lu Zhu. Purple Mansion Academy? Ning Fan automatically ignored the names of the two ladies and only paid attention to the name. This Purple Mansion Academy seems to be the biggest force in the Southern Heaven immortal world. It is one of the four major forces that are respected together with the Lost World Palace and the Godly Void Pavilion. Why are they looking for In Suchio? Mind-reading technique. Ning Fan secretly activated the secret technique. In an instant, he roughly understood the thoughts of the ladies. His face revealed a strange expression. They are actually looking for In Suchio for this kind of matter. If that's the case, I really have to help In Suchio plan something. Fellow Taoist Chow, wait for me here. After I am done with my daily affairs, I will taste the first-grade and second-grade spiritual wine with you. Ning Fan smiled. Chao Kong, however, felt that he could not afford to do so. His body trembled and he did not dare to look into Ning Fan's eyes. Scary. Scary. Little friend Yun Fan is actually venerated Ming, the ruthless man who killed divine transformation realm old ancestors like cutting vegetables. Is there anything crazier than this in this world? Ning Fan's words were obviously not to ask Chao Kong to wait for him. Instead, he wanted to express his relationship with Chao Kong. In this way, no one from the Green Bamboo Palace would hold Chao Kong responsible for what happened today. The Green Bamboo Palace must give Ning Fan face. No one would dare to hurt Chao Kong. This will not happen again. Ning Fan's cold gaze swept across Qing Chuchu. The latter's face immediately turned pale. She did not dare to raise her head and apologized in a low voice. Please forgive me, venerated Ming. We didn't know that venerated Ming would come here. This time we will certainly give venerated Ming a satisfactory answer. We will try our best to fulfill all of venerated Ming's requests. Even if it's something I just hope that venerated Ming will not annihilate the entire Green Bamboo Palace. There's no need. Ning Fan shook his head. Do I look like a devil lord who annihilates an entire clan? I do look a little like him. What Qing Chuchu meant was that she could kill Gong Mao and Elder Gong to satisfy Ning Fan's demands. As long as she can make Ning Fan happy or angry, she is even willing to with Ning Fan's identity. He did not care about the life and death of Gong Mao and Elder Gong at all. As for Qing Chuchu, he was not interested in her at the moment. Ning Fan took a step forward and walked towards the lady in blue robes. Currently, his greatest interest was on this Tantai Weiyu. This lady is not ordinary. She is very similar to Shimanyi. Both of them came to the mortal world with their divine clones. Just a single divine clone has the strength of a half-step void refinement realm expert. Could it be that this lady's true body is also at the void fragmentation realm? After such a commotion, Ningfan no longer had the mood to drink wine. Since he had already fully comprehended the memory intent realm, and was not far from the grand perfection intent realm, it no longer mattered whether he drinks or not. Let's see what this Tantai Weiyu has to say. Did young master really defeat Shimanyi? Tantai Weiyu walked side by side with Ningfan. She did not look embarrassed at all. Her first sentence was already shocking. It's just his clone. Ningfan was secretly surprised. This lady was a disciple of the Purple Mansion Academy. She belonged to the Southern Heaven while Shimanyi belonged to the Northern Heaven. The news of Shimanyi's defeat has actually spread so far and wide. Even the Southern Heaven goddess knows about it. If that's the case, young master can easily defeat Weiyu's clone, even without using the yin-yang transformation's bewitching technique? I don't believe it. Tantai Weiyu's beautiful eyes revealed a hint of battle intent, as if she wanted to ask Ningfan for advice. At the next moment, however, she changed the topic. Young master also likes to drink mortal wine. Why do you say so? If I don't drink mortal wine, why did I come back to the mortal wine area? If it wasn't for that, Weiyu would have the chance to meet you. Since we have the same preferences, I wonder if young master is willing to get drunk with me? Tantai Weiyu gently shook her head. What she meant was that she also liked mortal wine. Get drunk with me? That won't do. My alcohol tolerance is the worst. Once I get drunk, it's highly possible for me to sully Miss Weiyu. Ningfan intentionally said. Pa, don't talk nonsense. Believe me, you won't dare to do that. Weiyu's eyes were covered with a faint mist and she smiled gently. She was perhaps the woman who was least afraid of Ningfan in this world. Yin-yang transformation and bewitching technique? Ningfan would not dare to use them on her. She had the confidence to do so. Ningfan frowned inwardly. This lady is somewhat unusual. He secretly released his spirit sense, trying to find out more about this lady. At the next moment, a trace of Ningfan's spirit sense was sucked into Tantai Weiyu's body by a mysterious suction force. Fortunately, it was just a trace of spirit sense. Otherwise, Ningfan would probably suffer some injuries. Young devouring physique. Ningfan recognized Tantai Weiyu's physique. It was the physique that could restrain yin-yang devil veins the most. With the help of this physique, any man who touches Tantai Weiyu's body would be deprived of all their power. If Ningfan does not want to lose little Ningfan, it's best not to poke her with that thing. If he pokes this lady, humph, that little Ningfan would probably be sucked away by her. Young master's knowledge is profound. I admire you. That's why I said that you won't dare to do anything to me, isn't it? Tantai Weiyu's eyes were still calm. She did not become the goddess of Southern Heaven for nothing. Chapter 384. In the elegant room of the bamboo house, a pot of wine was simmering on the stove. Ningfan took a sip of the mortal wine. Even though it did not have any medicinal power, it was mellow and fragrant. It was indeed a good wine. There were 3 girls sitting opposite him. Apart from Tantai Weiyu, who had a calm expression as she carefully tasted the wine, the other 2 girls all had different expressions. At this moment, Qing Chuchu was extremely afraid of Ningfan. The reason why she came here to drink with him was just to appease his thunderous rage. What was Ningfan's favorite thing to do? Sect annihilation. Qing Chuchu did not want her sect to be destroyed just because she offended Ningfan. She was afraid of Ningfan, but there was a reckless girl who was glaring at Ningfan as if she wanted to eat him alive. Miss Greenbead's eyes are really wide open. Presumably the 2 words green bead refers to her green eyes. However, it's very strange. Your eyes are obviously black. Where did the green color come from? Ningfan carefully tasted the wine and teased. Zhoming, don't go too far. Green bead slammed her hand on the wooden table, her insides burning with anger, but she was stopped by a look from Tantai Weiyu. Little sister Green Bead, Could it be that you've completely forgotten Master's teachings? Green bead doesn't dare. Master said that we cultivators of the Violet Palace Academy should place the righteous path as our own thoughts. Even if the opponent is an extremely shameless devil, so long as it doesn't violate the laws of the heavens, then we shouldn't fight or kill the opponent. Even if the other party has violated the heavenly laws, our master will send down a heavenly tribulation to eliminate this evil person. There is no need for you to be so agitated. There was a hidden meaning in Tantai Weiyu's words. She was criticizing Ning Fan. As for Ning Fan, he secretly activated his mind-reading technique and saw through Tantai Weiyu's thoughts once again. Her master is a tribulation-controlling immortal emperor. Another sovereign immortal emperor? In that case, the blood lightning and silver flames I devoured were all sent down by the tribulation-wielding immortal emperor? If I ascend to the 4 heavens in the future and go to the southern heaven, I wonder if I will be able to ask the tribulation-controlling immortal emperor to refine the God-shattering whip. Tantai Weiyu probably did not expect that Ning Fan would actually have designs on her master even in her dreams. He had to admit that the mind-reading spell was indeed a good thing. From the beginning to the end, Ning Fan did not talk to them at all. Occasionally, he would use his mind-reading technique to see through their thoughts. This included the secrets of the Purple Mansion Academy, their purpose of descending to the lower domain, and Insuchio. Young master is really a cold-blooded person. Weiyu invited you for a drink, but you drank alone for 4 hours without asking about Insuchio. She's your woman. Don't you care about her at all? Tantai Weiyu's tone was gentle, but her words were sharp. It was obvious that she was attacking Ning Fan's Dao heart. Wasn't Ning Fan's Dao heart meant to protect his women? I already know about Suchio's matter. I even know that Miss Weiyu has violated herself 3 times in her life. Don't you think it's strange? Ning Fan teased her again. As soon as he said those words, Green Bead immediately scolded him in anger. Zhou, you're too shameless. Sister Weiyu just scolded you a bit and you profaned her innocence. She is such a pure and self-loving person. She is different from us normal girls. How could she profane herself? Oh, Lady Greenbeard's meaning is that an ordinary woman like you often blaspheme herself? You. Greenbeard's face turned red. She had accidentally revealed a girl's greatest secret. Self-blasphemy. Self-blasphemy. Everyone has 7 emotions and 6 desires. Who did I offend by blasphemy? She really wanted to refute him. However, the more she refuted, the more confused she became. Thus, she simply sat at the side and ignored Ning Fan. Green Bead remained silent. Tantai Weiyu, on the other hand, blushed and was secretly shocked. Yes, she had cultivated for 1,700 years and reached the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. In her entire life, she had only violated herself 3 times. How could Ning Fan know about such a girl's secret? Yes, it's that secret technique. Mind-reading technique. Tantai Weiyu gritted her teeth and said something that made Ning Fan frown. It really is the mind-reading technique. Rumor has it that among the cultivators of the Yin-Yang Devil Vein, only Great Emperor Ancient Chaos was able to comprehend the mind-reading technique. With just a glance, he could see through the thoughts of all the women in the world. Young Master Zhou's aptitude is really outstanding. I'm afraid that after Great Emperor Ancient Chaos fell, you are the second person to comprehend this technique. Weiyu really wants to know how you can do something that other cultivators of the Yin-Yang Devil Vein can't. Tantai Weiyu did not know about the existence of the Yin-Yang Locket. Naturally, she would not know that other than Ning Fan who possessed the Yin-Yang Locket, no one else could use the mind-reading technique. He was an orthodox cultivator. Even though his cultivation technique was a little shameless, he was an existence that countless cultivators of the Fiend God realm could not reach. Lady Weiyu seems to know a lot about my Yin-Yang Devil Vein. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Other than Luo Yu, no one else had such a good understanding of Ning Fan's technique. Tantai Weiyu was the second one, although her understanding was far inferior to Luo Yu's. Young Master Zhou, haven't you heard of this saying? When one is born with an illness, there must be a medicine to cure it. When one is born with an innate yang, there must be a yin to counter it. What does young Master Zhou think Weiyu's young devouring physique is used for? Does it specialize in killing perverts in the world? Ning Fan felt a chill in his crotch. He was not sure if it was just an illusion. Young Master Zhou is really smart. This is the responsibility of my Tantai family. As a member of the righteous path, young Master Zhou mustn't fall into my hands. Otherwise. Tantai Weiyu pursed her lips and smiled. She was not afraid of all kinds of perverts. Whoever touches a single strand of her hair would die. Your name is Weiyu, but you like to hold an umbrella on a sunny day. Is it also because you want to shelter yourself from the sun? It seems like the young devouring physique has a lot of drawbacks. It can even absorb sunlight. Lady Weiyu's life doesn't seem to be easy. Ning Fan took a sip of wine and revealed the secret of Tantai Weiyu's physique. After Ning Fan pointed out her sore spot, Tantai Weiyu's expression turned gloomy. However, it only lasted for a moment. No one else noticed it except Ning Fan. She no longer said anything. She covered her mouth with her sleeve and drank a cup of wine. Her face was slightly flushed. She was not supposed to be drunk. However, her mind was in a mess because of Ning Fan's words. Green Bead and Qing Chuchu did not know what Ning Fan and Weiyu were talking about at all. The mind-reading technique was a secret. It was a secret technique contained in the few devil physiques that the Tantai family paid close attention to. How could an outsider know about it? The young devouring physique was also a secret. Other than knowing that Tantai Weiyu could not get close to any man, Green Bead did not know much about her physique. Ning Fan could see through Weiyu's physique not because he used the mind-reading technique, but because he paid attention to the details. That was all. Since young Master Zhou has the mind-reading technique, aren't you concerned about Yin Suqiu? My Zifu Academy has taken a liking to her. If we grant her the ascension quota, she will certainly join our academy in the future. At that time, she will be a righteous cultivator while young Master Zhou will be a devil cultivator. I'm afraid you two won't be able to love each other for the rest of your life. The ascension quota. Lady Weiyu must be joking. Whether Suqiu will be with me or not has nothing to do with the righteous and devil cultivators. It has something to do with my life and death. Ning Fan shook his head. If he did not discover such a huge matter with the mind-reading technique, he might not have let Green Bead and the other girls off so easily. Yin Suqiu was actually going to be granted the ascension quota. Moreover, the one who took a liking to her was the Zifu Academy, the #1 righteous sect in the Four Heavens immortal world. Perhaps, this was the most suitable path for Suqiu. Since she liked the righteous sect so much, Ning Fan did not want to interfere with Yin Suqiu's decision. Besides, Ning Fan did not think that Yin Suqiu must sever her relationship with him just because she joins a righteous sect. On the surface, Tantai Weiyu, Green Bead and the other girls had higher aptitudes than Yin Suqiu. In reality, these two girls had yet to see through the difference between the righteous and devil cultivators. Yin Suqiu had seen through it. Before the cultivation methods of the divine race, demon race and devil race were determined, there were no three races in the ancient times. The so-called righteous and devil cultivators were just imposed by the cultivators of the later generations. The difference between righteous and devil cultivators was just the difference between their cultivation methods. It was not the difference between good and evil. Even if Yin Suqiu joins the Zifu Academy and becomes one of the goddesses of the southern heaven, she would still be with Ning Fan if she had to. Moreover, Ning Fan believed that if he possesses the strength of an immortal emperor in the future, he would be a threat to the immortal emperor realm. If he were to stand outside the Zifu Academy casually, not only would the immortal emperor realm tribulation controlling immortal emperor not dare to chase him away, he might even welcome him with open arms to prevent him from destroying the Zifu Academy. Ning Fan had encountered too many cases of people changing from arrogance to deference. He had been killing, domineering, and ruthless throughout his journey. However, as long as his strength remained, no one would dare to provoke him. He did not believe in the righteous path, nor did he believe in the devil path. He only believed in his own Tao, be it the divine race, the demon race, or the devil race. When he combined the three forces into one, his personality changed drastically. His ruthlessness was neutralized by his divinity. However, there was also a hint of treachery in his personality. From the trip to the Green Bamboo Palace this time, it could be seen that the current Ning Fan was no longer a person who only killed people. The three contradictory and extreme personalities had already merged together. This was the reason why Tantai Weiyu could not see through Ning Fan the most. His words were obviously frivolous, but his eyes were clear and upright. From the beginning to the end, he did not have a single trace of profanity towards the beauty. His baleful chi was obviously terrifying, but he had a sense of propriety. Killing or not killing only took a single thought. He was not affected by his killing intent at all. This person was obviously overbearing and conceited, but he was cunning and quick-witted. Although his scheming and wisdom could not be said to be unparalleled, it was already the best choice. When all the contradictions merged together, Tantai Weiyu, a dignified void fragmentation realm cultivator, actually could not see through Ning Fan. Moreover, she almost agreed with Ning Fan's words. She felt that Ning Fan was right. In Suqiu would not abandon Ning Fan because of the righteous and devil ideologies. If there is a reason in this world that would make In Suqiu forget Ning Fan, there would only be one reason. One of them had died, and the one who died would certainly not be Ning Fan but In Suqiu. This woman was extremely stubborn. When this stubbornness is applied to love, it would be the kind of devotion that she would never let go of even if she dies. Unless she In Suqiu dies, otherwise she would never abandon Ning Fan. Never. Young Master Zhou, I can't see through you. Aren't you worried about younger sister Suqiu's ascension? With her aptitude, the divine transformation realm is just a matter of time. If she succeeds, she will ascend? I didn't expect that among all of my women, Suqiu would be the first one to ascend. Her future is bright. This is very good. This shows that I have a good eye for women. Ning Fan said in an almost conceited manner. He was rarely conceited. However, when his woman was praised by others, he would feel happy. He would feel even happier than when his own woman was praised. He was just like a foolish father and mother, who would feel happy for half a day when their child is praised for being smart and obedient. After all, Ning Fan was just an ordinary person. There are only two things that I'm worried about. Firstly, this foolish woman is afraid that I will be angry and refuse to ascend. As soon as Ning Fan said the first point, Green Bead immediately sneered. Impossible. The quota for ascension within 4 days is extremely precious. It's impossible for that In Suqiu to refuse the quota just because of her love. You don't understand her. Ning Fan was too lazy to care about Green Bead. What's the second point? Tantai Weiyu asked with a faint smile. The second point. Fortunately, I restrained my desire in the past and did not take her. I heard that the requirements for female cultivators to ascend to the Purple Mansion Academy are extremely strict. If they don't have a formal relationship with their Dao companion, they are not allowed to lose their virginity. Otherwise, they will lose their chastity. If they have a Dao companion, that Dao companion must be qualified to be a cultivator of the righteous path. I don't think I'm a cultivator of the righteous path. Fortunately, I don't have a formal relationship with In Suqiu and I haven't broken her chastity. Thus, I'm not afraid of affecting her ascension. Pfft. Tantai Weiyu actually laughed. She laughed. One had to admit that her laughing points were very strange. Actually, there was nothing wrong with her laughing. From her point of view, the problem that Ning Fan was worried about must be extremely serious. For example, the safety of the ascension. In the end, Ning Fan was worried about whether he had broken In Suqiu's chastity or not. What's in this man's head? Is it a daddy? Farewell. While Tantai Weiyu was laughing, Ning Fan did not look at her and stood up abruptly. He did not ask about the details of In Suqiu's ascension. The ascension formation and the passage were mostly related to the secrets of the Purple Mansion Academy. Even Tantai Weiyu might not know about it. Besides, Ning Fan believed that he did not have any enemies in the Southern Heaven immortal world. It would be very safe for In Suqiu to ascend to the Southern Heaven. It would also be very safe for her to join the Purple Mansion Academy. Even though it was rumored that the cultivators of the Purple Mansion Academy were very inflexible, none of them had ever done anything against the law. Being a bookworm had its own benefits. Besides, Ning Fan also believed that Wuxia was no longer an ordinary woman who was entangled in the righteous path and the devil path after going through all kinds of changes. Her horizons should have already been opened. Ning Fan had this confidence in his own woman. If he did not believe in his own woman, he would not be Ning Fan. After saying goodbye, Ning Fan left in a natural and unrestrained manner. Even Qing Chu, who was frightened, and Green Bead, who felt wronged, could not help but praise him from the bottom of her heart. Ning Fan indeed had an extraordinary demeanor. This demeanor had nothing to do with his appearance. It was just a kind of attitude that would not change even in the face of danger. Especially the trust in each other's eyes. Perhaps it would have an inner devil level of lethality to every woman who longed for a sincere exchange. Wait. Doesn't young Master Zhou want to compete with me? Tantai Weiyu suddenly stood up and said indifferently. Compete? How? Ning Fan's eyes flashed with surprise. He did not notice that this woman was so competitive. Before the competition, young master has yet to taste this wine. I can see that young master is also fond of mortal wine. I suppose you must have some special opinions about mortal wine. I want to hear it. If young master is willing to tell me, I will be very grateful. May I ask what young master thinks about wine? Tantai Weiyu asked an irrelevant question again. This woman's train of thought was jumpy. The word wine refers to the water of the hour of Wu. Wu is the 10th of the earthly branches. It is the west, the season when rice is fully ripe. Water brewed from grains is called wine. Ning Fan gave a perfunctory answer. These are the words from the scriptures. I want to hear young master's thoughts. The thing that intoxicates people is wine. Beauties, wealth, fame, and fortune in the world. As long as it can intoxicate people, which of them isn't wine? Ning Fan said seriously. What a good. The thing that intoxicates people is wine. In that case, young Master Zhou has countless beauties and all of them are delicious wine? Ning Fan did not comment on Tantai Weiyu's words. May I ask young master, what is drunkenness? Dying from wine is drunkenness. Being born from wine is sobriety. Between sobriety and drunkenness, there is the meaning of life and death. I suppose the reason why Miss Weiyu is obsessed with wine is to use it to comprehend the two meanings of life and death. As soon as Ning Fan said that, his answer immediately shocked the three ladies. As the palace lord of the Green Bamboo Palace, Qing Chu had been brewing wine all her life. However, she had never heard such a profound theory that pointed directly to the origin. As one of the outstanding geniuses of the Purple Mansion Academy, Green Bead paid great attention to the comprehension and cultivation of the academy. As the name suggested, the cultivation method of an academy was to focus on the academy and improve one's cultivation level by comprehending the heavenly Tao. In such an atmosphere, disciples would often spar with each other in the Purple Mansion Academy. However, it was rare for them to spar with their magic power. Most of them would spar with their Tao comprehension. Tao comprehension was either through debates or through mediums such as zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Sometimes they would directly compete with their divine intent. After all, the intent realm usually pointed directly to one's heart. The stronger the Tao comprehension of a cultivator, the stronger the power of their divine intent would be. Even in such an atmosphere, Green Bead had never seen any handsome young man say something as profound as Ning Fan. Even some of the older generations did not have such a profound Tao comprehension like Ning Fan. This had nothing to do with aptitude. It was only related to one's comprehension ability. Green Bead did not know how good Ning Fan's aptitude was, but his comprehension ability was probably extremely high. Tantai Weiyu's face blushed. She had to admit that her shyness was also very strange. Did Ning Fan say something embarrassing? Did he make me blush? She was naturally surprised by Ning Fan's comprehension ability. Not only did Ning Fan answer her question perfectly, but he also explained the true meaning of waking up on top of being drunk. Moreover, he even pointed out the existence of the great Tao of life and death in the process of waking up. There were 3,000 great Tao in the wine. What Ning Fan saw was the memories of samsara, while what Tantai Weiyu saw was life and death. He actually saw through my Tao. Tantai Weiyu's heart trembled. She had never had such a feeling before. She had such an amazing feeling towards a man. Thank you for your guidance, young master. If Wei Yu can comprehend the Tao of life and death, I will certainly thank you generously in the future. Tantai Wei Yu stood up with a serious expression and bowed to Ning Fan. I haven't finished speaking. There's more? Wei Yu asked in surprise. Not only does the wine contain the Tao of life and death, but also the Tao of true and false. True and false. True and false. The so-called living in a drunken dream is not really being drunk. Instead, you are awake but you seem to be drunk. This word like is specious but it's not. It is the meaning of true and false. If Miss Wei Yu can comprehend life and death, then you can comprehend true and false. Then it won't be difficult for you to advance to the true immortal realm one day. True and false. Tantai Wei Yu was deeply impressed. If the person who guided her was an immortal emperor, she would accept it. However, the person who guided her was just a divine transformation realm cultivator. This divine transformation realm cultivator, however, had such a high level of comprehension that few could compare to. Comprehension was not aptitude or intelligence. Instead, it was a person's comprehension towards the great Tao. It was related to one's temperament. After all, the heavenly Tao had always been directed towards one's heart. Perhaps Ning Fan's greatest asset was not the yin-yang transformation, but his heaven-defying comprehension. He was not smart. He was very ordinary. However, it was because he was ordinary that he was close to the great Tao, because the great Tao was mortal. Tantai Wei Yu did not know what to say anymore. If she advances to the true immortal realm one day, what she should be most grateful for today was definitely Ning Fan's guidance. She pondered for a while, and seemed to have made up her mind to take out something to give to Ning Fan to express her gratitude. However, before she could take out that item, Ning Fan spoke again. Other than the meaning of true and false in the wine, there are also more profound principles. Do you still want to hear it? Yes. If young master is willing to teach me, Wei Yu is willing to repay you. If younger sister Suqiu ascends to the academy in the future, and someone neglects her, Wei Yu will certainly help young master to protect her. Wei Yu said sincerely. Ning Fan nodded his head. Obviously, he was very satisfied with Wei Yu's promise. His eyes turned cold and he continued. Above life and death, I saw the truth and false. Above the truth and false, I saw karma. Drunkenness is the fruit of drinking and drinking is the cause of drunkenness. Not getting drunk is the fruit of not drinking and not drinking is the cause of not getting drunk. Karma in the world is generally like this. However, not every time a person drinks, they will get drunk, and not every cause can be cultivated into an effect. Looking back 500 years in my previous life, may not be able to get his pity. Turning into a stone bridge, and standing for 1,000 years may not be able to wait for his arrival. If Miss Wei Yu can comprehend karma one day, it won't be surprising if she becomes an immortal emperor. Karma. Looking back 500 years in the future, I still can't get his pity. Tantai Wei Yu suddenly felt a pain in her heart. She seemed to have some sad past. Honestly, if there is no story behind it, why would a woman love to drink wine? Above karma, guess what I saw? Ning Fan sighed softly. At first, he did not want to give her any advice. However, when he saw Tantai Wei Yu's puzzled expression, his heart suddenly felt empty. Then, he tried to divert her attention and dispel her sadness with his words. Above karma, what else could there be? Wei Yu suddenly asked. She could no longer understand the profound truth. Drinking is the cause of being drunk. The cause of being drunk is the cause of being drunk. The cause of being drunk is the cause of being dreaming. The cause of waking up is the cause of drinking again. If it is reversed, it will be the effect. When you can see the karma clearly, it means that you have comprehended it. When you can't see the karma clearly and you can't tell which is whose cause, you will have comprehended it completely. Above karma is samsara. Everything in the world is in samsara. None of them can escape from it. I am not your cause and you are not my effect. Some feelings can't be explained clearly even in a lifetime. Everything is just like the righteous and the evil. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he cupped his fists and walked out of the bamboo house. He could see through Tantai Wei Yu's thoughts. He even knew what she wanted to give him. It was a cultivation method. It was a fiend god cultivation method named Repent of the Ocean of Desire. The effect of this cultivation method was to nourish a man's primordial yang. In order to avoid harming one's foundation by plucking too many women, it could gradually replenish the man's primordial yang after abolishing the dual cultivation method. Yes, abolish it. In order to cultivate this cultivation method, one must abolish the yin-yang transformation. This cultivation method was a secret technique of the Tantai family. They couldn't just give it to an outsider. If Ningfan accepted Wei Yu's cultivation method, she would be punished by the family because of it. The reason why Wei Yu took out this cultivation method was because she hoped that Ningfan would abolish the evil cultivation method and return to the righteous path. Ningfan's last sentence, "Everything is just like the righteous and evil," was a reminder to Wei Yu. There was no difference between the righteous and evil cultivation methods in the first place. Why should she be so stubborn? It wasn't the yin-yang transformation that was wrong. It was the user. As long as Ningfan had a clear conscience, he could cultivate the yin-yang transformation and pluck the women in the world. Tantai Wei Yu had good intentions, but Ningfan would never accept it. He saw through everything. Wei Yu smiled bitterly. She put the cultivation method back into her storage pouch and sighed inwardly. If Ningfan turned back now, she might be able to help him enter the righteous path and exchange it for a bright future. However, she didn't know why she felt pity for Ningfan. It was the first time she was subdued by a man. "Will we meet again?" She sighed faintly. A feeling of emptiness that she had never felt before filled her body and mind. Tantai Wei Yu actually sighed for a man. This was too abnormal. If this news were to spread, it would probably be more shocking than Ningfan defeating Shimenyi. In the Green Bamboo Palace, Ningfan left some pills for Chao Kong and left. He had only met this person once. From today onwards, this was the end of their fate. He took a step forward and left the Green Bamboo Palace. In the next step, he appeared on an empty sea surface. Ningfan looked at the empty sea surface and remained silent. He stood there for 3 days and 3 nights. After 3 days, a white-robed scholar finally appeared on the empty sea surface. His expression was cold and he didn't smile. However, he praised Ningfan. "Your comprehension ability is very high. Your willpower isn't bad either." When this person praised Ningfan's comprehension ability, he naturally heard Ningfan's Tao enlightenment from the beginning to the end. He praised Ningfan's willpower because Ningfan didn't say a single word in the past 3 days until the scholar appeared. "Senior, who are you?" "Yin." That person only said one word, but it immediately made Ningfan's expression change. He couldn't see through this person's cultivation base. The pressure that this person gave him was comparable to Moksha's sovereign. The word Yin immediately reminded Ningfan of the Jade invitation card he obtained when he left the Lost World Tower. "If you pass my test, you will receive the Elder's Order." Yin. Ningfan's eyes turned cold. This white-robed scholar was actually a Void Fragmentation Realm old monster from the Rain Palace who came to test him. Almost a moment later, Ningfan shook his cauldron ring and took out an ancient storage pouch. That storage pouch had been abandoned in the corner of the 1 million space of the cauldron ring for a very long time. That storage pouch contained Ningfan's greatest trump card so far, the Rogue Devil. Ningfan once guessed that if he breaks through to the peak divine transformation realm, he could barely control the Rogue Devil with various methods. However, to be honest, he wasn't completely confident that a peak divine transformation realm expert could control the Rogue Devil. Opening the storage pouch at the peak divine transformation realm was actually a gamble. If he succeeds in controlling the Rogue Devil, he would have the strength to travel unhindered in the Rain world. If he fails in controlling the Rogue Devil, he would die here and his Tao would vanish. Unless there was an opportunity that could move his heart, he wouldn't take the gamble. Facing the white-robed scholar, Ningfan had no choice but to take the gamble. If this person harbors ill intentions towards him, he would open the storage pouch and release the Rogue Devil to fight against him. Even if he dies, he would perish together with the enemy. "There seems to be something extraordinary in that storage pouch of yours." The white-robed scholar nodded, and then shook his head. "If I wanted to kill you, you would already be dead. 5 days ago, I came to the Lost World Tower, and left behind the jade invitation card. You should know what it means. The white-robed scholar's words were self-evident. 5 days ago, Ning Fan was still unconscious and needed Bei Xiaoman's care. At that time, Ning Fan didn't have any means to protect himself. If the white-robed scholar wanted to, he could easily kill him. Since he did not kill Ning Fan, he wouldn't kill him. Ning Fan understood that. After keeping the rogue devil's storage pouch, Ning Fan looked at the white-robed scholar indifferently and cupped his fists. Senior, how do you want to test me? Do you know a lot about wine? I know a thing or two. Ning Fan was neither humble nor arrogant. After listening to your long talk just now, you indeed know quite a lot. However, I don't like to talk nonsense. Whether you know wine or not, I only look at one standard, and that is how much you can drink. Yin Tianjue patted his storage pouch. A ray of sword light shot out and turned into a sword boat. He landed on the boat and raised the sail. Then he patted his storage pouch again, and the spiritual wine inside was piled up like a mountain. All of them were from the Green Bamboo Palace. While Ning Fan was talking to Wei Yu, this person had actually emptied the wine cellar of the Green Bamboo Palace. Drink with me. Can I understand this as a test for me, senior? Whatever you think. Ning Fan landed on the sword boat. Yin Tianjue also sat cross-legged and started drinking with each other. Both of them were silent as if they did not have any common topic. However, when the two of them sat and drank with each other, they did not feel out of place at all. Yin Tianjue's frown deepened. He could not understand why he would drink with an unfamiliar junior with his unsociable personality. However, he did not reject this kind of feeling. If you get drunk, you will fail the test. Yin Tianjue said coldly. I won't get drunk. Ning Fan smiled confidently. His smile stunned Yin Tianjue. He felt like he had seen this smile on a woman's face before. It was very familiar but also very strange at the same time. Who is it? Chapter 385. 10 days later, tens of thousands of jars of first and second grade spirit wine were drunk by the two of them. Another 10 days later, nearly 1,000 jars of third and fourth grade spirit wine were left empty. During the last 10 days, Ning Fan and Yin Tianjue each had 100 jars of fifth grade spiritual wine. They just drank without saying a word to each other. For an entire month, the two of them had not exchanged a single word with each other. The atmosphere was really strange. Ning Fan pondered inwardly. He had drunk so much spiritual wine, but it seemed like it still did not satisfy the other party. It seemed that this so-called test was not going to be easy to pass. A month had passed. It had been a month since Bei Xiaoman had woken up. He wondered if Bei Xiaoman would be worried if she didn't see him when she woke up. As he drank the grade 5 spiritual wine, he shot out a sound-transmitting flying sword towards the direction of Peng Lai, as if he was trying to reassure Bei Xiaoman. However, as soon as he was distracted, the effect of the alcohol immediately messed up his mind. His eyes turned hot and revealed a hint of drunkenness. The reason why he wasn't drunk after drinking so much spiritual wine was because he was able to keep his heart calm. If one's heart was distracted, the wine would not intoxicate them, but they would become intoxicated. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold and his mind became solemn. He dispelled his drunkenness and thought to himself that it was a close call. He was almost drunk. Yin Tianjue, who was sitting opposite Ning Fan, put down his wine jar. His eyes were filled with displeasure. Your heart is in chaos. Is that sound-transmitting flying sword meant for a woman? As sword cultivators, our heart should be tied to the sword and not be tainted by lust. If the heart is not pure, if the Tao is not firm, it will be difficult to achieve the sword Tao. So what if it's difficult to master the sword Tao? If the way of the sword is cultivated to the end, and there is only one person and one sword left, what joy is there in that? Ning Fan shook his head slightly. Perhaps it was this senior's Tao of sword, but it was not his own Tao of sword. His sword Tao was not obsessed with the sword. Instead, he only wanted to use the 3-foot-long sword to protect his loved ones in peace and happiness. He did not care if he failed to achieve the Tao. One man and one sword. What's there to be happy about? You're right, I'm looking for someone. Yin Tianjue frowned. He clenched his fist and crushed the wine jar. As if Ning Fan had hit the nail on the head, he also looked slightly drunk. When Ning Fan saw this scene, he was inwardly surprised. He had thought that this senior was just a sword cultivator who was obsessed with the sword, but now it seemed that this was not the case. This person's sword intent was very strong. In terms of sword intent alone, Ning Fan had never seen anyone whose sword intent was stronger than his. Even the Sword Emperor's secret sword paled in comparison to this person. This person was not a cultivator from the sword world, but he was even stronger than the sword world's divine emperor? There was no mistaking it. This sword intent was the emotionless sword, and it did not tolerate any emotions. This person was definitely a cold-blooded and emotionless person. However, this person's drunken expression clearly showed that deep in his heart, there was love. Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. In the Rain world, there were only a few void fragmentation realm experts who could be counted with one's fingers. This person's Tao of sword was divine. His identity was self-evident, white-robed sword god, Yin Tianjue. Are you also looking for someone, senior? I'm also looking for someone. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold and his tone changed. He recalled old ancestor Dong Su's divination. If he wanted to find his mother's whereabouts, he needed to find Yin Tianjue. Previously, when Ning Fan heard that Yin Tianjue was ruthless and cold-blooded, he had some concerns in his heart. Thus, he did not rashly go and look for him. Now that this person had delivered himself to his doorstep, he could use an indirect approach to see if he could find out about Ning Qian's whereabouts. Are you also looking for someone? Looking at your lonely back, I suppose you haven't found the person you're looking for, right? Yin Tianjue was a talkative person. However, he no longer kept quiet in front of Ning Fan. That's right. I'm looking for a woman. Her name is Ning Qian. When Ning Fan uttered this name, he carefully observed Yin Tianjue's expression. When this woman's name fell into Yin Tianjue's ears, his expression turned blank for a moment. Then he became confused. Ning Qian. Senior, you know her? Ning Fan was secretly delighted. If it was so easy for him to find his mother, he could easily let her live a peaceful life with his strength and status. No, I don't know her. I just feel that this name is very familiar. Yin Tianjue shook his head. He felt annoyed, but he did not know why. Familiar. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold, and his tone carried a questioning tone. This ambiguous answer made him very dissatisfied. Does it mean that I know her? However, judging from Yin Tianjue's expression, he obviously did not remember who Ning Qian was, as if he had never seen her before. In Yin Ruowe's dream, Yin Ruowe, Ning Qian and Yin Tianjue had once appeared in Lanrua Temple together. They should have met each other before. Could it be that Yin Tianjue's relationship with Ning Qian is too shallow, and they have never met since that day? That's why he does not remember Ning Qian anymore? Are you dissatisfied with my words? Yin Tianjue's eyes suddenly turned cold. With his personality, if someone else dares to speak coldly to him, he would have already killed that person with his sword. Ning Fan was just a divine transformation realm cultivator. How dare he question him in such a cold manner? Even though Yin Tianjue was displeased, he was still reluctant to kill Ning Fan. With your intelligence, you should have already guessed my identity. I advise you not to provoke me. Yin Tianjue said coldly. How would I dare? Ning Fan withdrew his expression. If it wasn't for Ning Qian's whereabouts and the order to respect the elders, he would never be willing to drink with this temperamental void fragmentation realm old monster. The two of them fell into silence again. A few days later, all of the 5th grade spiritual wine was finished. Yin Tianjue drank all of the spiritual wine and remained silent. His left hand was originally broken. Now he was holding the wine jar with his illusory left hand while staring blankly into space. Senior, did you pass my test? Ning Fan rose to his feet and cupped his fists. He had already drunk all of the spiritual wine, but he was not drunk. It was unknown whether he had passed the test or not. This is not a test. Yin Tianjue removed his concealment and returned to his original appearance. His illusory left arm disappeared and his long sleeve became empty again. His long hair was messy and his eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life. The huge sword on his back was filled with dense sword qi. It's not a test? Ning Fan frowned. If it wasn't a test, It would be a complete waste of time for him to spend 1 month drinking wine here. Did he have a lot of time? No. It was very little. Even though drinking so much spiritual wine had increased his magic power by 1,000 units, this speed of improvement was still too slow for Ning Fan. Farewell. If Senior decides to test me, you can come and find me again. Ning Fan flicked his sleeves, and was actually about to leave. Yin Tianjue's eyes flashed with surprise. He realized that this divine transformation realm junior in front of him was actually not afraid of him. The white-robed sword god had turned into a devil with his sword. With a sword in his hand, hundreds of countries would move. Even the Rain Sovereign would feel a little uneasy when he sees Yin Tianjue. Ning Fan, however, was actually dissatisfied with him and even spoke to him coldly. He was really an interesting young man. You don't like drinking wine with me? I'm afraid of death. Ning Fan gave Yin Tianjue a sidelong glance. This person could even kill his fourth brother. He was temperamental. Since he could not get Ning Qian's whereabouts from him, it would only be dangerous for him to stay with him. I won't kill you. It's just that sometimes, I also want to find someone to drink with. Why don't you try this wine and see how it tastes? Yin Tianjue suddenly stood up. His face was as cold as ice. No one could tell whether he was happy or angry. He took out a dark red wine gourd. It was as clear as crystal. One could see that it was filled with blood-red wine. That gourd, on the other hand, emitted a vast aura force of magic treasure. It was a mortal void treasure, and it was even a mid-grade mortal void treasure. As for the wine in the gourd, it gave off a hint of wine fragrance. Ning Fan's spirit was lifted and his eyes were filled with joy. Just by smelling a hint of the wine fragrance, his magic power had increased by 1 unit. What kind of wine is this? Even though it's not a test, I, Yin Tianjue, will not take up 1 month of your time for nothing. There is still half a gourd of wine left. You can drink 3 mouthfuls. If you drink more than that, you will die. 3 mouthfuls. Ning Fan's eyes burned with passion. The power of this wine was not any weaker than that of the time crystal. A hint of its scent could increase 1 unit of magic power. It was highly possible that a single mouthful of wine could increase 1,000 units of magic power. 3 mouthfuls of wine could increase Ning Fan's magic power by at least 20,000 units. If he could obtain this 20,000 units of magic power for free, it would not be a loss for him to accompany Yin Tianjue for a month. Senior, are you serious? Ning Fan still found it a little hard to believe that the cold and bloodthirsty Yin Tianjue would grant him a chance. I don't like to talk nonsense. Yin Tianjue did not say anything. He placed one of his hands behind his back and stood at the bow of the ship. However, he was looking at the sunrise by the seaside with an expressionless face. Thank you, Senior, for your generous gift. Ning Fan did not stand on ceremony. His impression of Yin Tianjue could not help but change. This person was eccentric, taciturn and temperamental. However, he could clearly distinguish between kindness and hatred. Even if this kind of person was a little cold, he would not kill his brothers for no reason. Perhaps there was an inside story behind why he killed the 4th prince of the Rain Palace. Ning Fan pulled out the stopper of the gourd, and the wine rushed into his body. He was almost drunk. It was enough to show how strong this wine was. Compared to this wine, the 5th grade spiritual wine was just trash. Even the mortal void spiritual wine might not necessarily be comparable to it. This was the immortal void wine. Gulped at Ning Fan lifted the gourd and gulped down a mouthful of the wine. Immediately, an extremely spicy feeling nearly paralyzed his throat. He had never tasted such a spicy wine in his entire life. Besides, this wine was fragrant to the nose, but when it entered the mouth, it tasted fishy. As soon as the mouthful of wine entered his stomach, it immediately turned into a warm current that soaked into his dantian, making his entire body feel as if it was burning. A single mouthful of wine contained at least 8,000 units of magic power. The immense power of the wine spread throughout his entire body. Ning Fan's face turned red. His robes fluttered without any wind and his skin turned purple. What a strong wine power. No wonder this Senior Yin only allowed me to drink 3 mouthfuls, and said that I will die if I drink too much. At first, I thought he was threatening me to not drink the fourth mouthful. Now it seems like the power of this wine is too strong. With my physical body, I definitely can't withstand the power of the fourth mouthful. And this is only the third mouthful for me. If it's an ordinary half-step void refinement realm cultivator, they can only drink 2 mouthfuls at most. Ning Fan's eyes darkened. He thought to himself that Senior Yin really had sharp eyes. He could see through all of my strength with just a glance. Without thinking further, Ning Fan lifted the red gourd and gulped down another 2 mouthfuls. The 3 mouthfuls seemed to be finished at the same time. After he finished drinking, he sealed the gourd and returned it to the table. Then, he immediately sat down in meditation and refined the magic power of nearly 25,000 units in his body. 3 mouthfuls at the same time. Yin Tianjue did not turn around. His sharp brows moved slightly, and his eyes faintly showed a hint of approval. This gourd is called the Blood Gourd. Even though it is only a mid-grade mortal void realm wine, it has a magical function. It can refine the blood of demons and humans into wine. What you just drank was the blood essence of the divine sovereign of the sword world. I thought you could drink 3 mouthfuls, but I didn't expect you to drink it consecutively. You. Not bad. Hiss. Yin Tianjue's tone was extremely calm, as if he was talking about something insignificant. However, as soon as Ning Fan heard his words, he immediately sucked in a cold breath and thought to himself that this Senior Yin was really ruthless. Using the blood of a divine sovereign of the sword world to brew blood wine. This is really crazy. No wonder this wine can increase my magic power by so much. How is this wine? This is obviously the blood essence of a void fragmentation realm divine sovereign. 10 days later, Ning Fan finished refining the power of the blood wine. He exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi and stood up. His magic power had already reached 338,500 units. The reason why his magic power could increase so much was naturally due to Yin Tianjue's generous gift. Ning Fan cupped his fists and bowed. His eyes fell upon the blood gourd. He really wished he could drink all of this wine. However, this wine was brewed from the blood of a void fragmentation realm divine sovereign after all. Its baleful qi was too strong. Even though he could refine it with his magic power, the baleful qi in the blood could only be worn away after going through countless life and death battles. Even though this wine was good, it was not advisable to drink too much of it. Otherwise, the baleful qi would backfire and Ning Fan would suffer from qi deviation. Thank you for your generous gift, Senior. This junior shall take his leave now. Ning Fan gave Yin Tianjue a deep look, and was about to leave. Before he left again, Yin Tianjue suddenly spoke coldly. Don't be in a hurry to leave. I'll give you a test now. What kind of test? Ning Fan asked seriously. Dragon Deciding Valley. Blood. Yin Tianjue didn't explain too much. Suddenly, a shocking sword qi surrounded his body. The sword boat under his feet turned into a huge sword that was 3,000 meters long, and the sword light pierced the sky. The gigantic sword soared into the sky and carried Ning Fan and Yin Tianjue all the way to the west. In just a moment, they had already traveled several million li. Compared to this speed, his early void refinement realm speed was not worth mentioning at all. Riding on this sword, one could travel billions of miles in a day. 3 days later, Yin Tianjue retracted his sword light and brought Ning Fan out of the endless sea, bringing him to a country of snow. The sky was covered in snow and the spiritual energy here was so dense that even the state of Jin couldn't compare. This wasn't a mid-rank cultivation country, or even a high-rank cultivation country. This was a void-rank cultivation country. The territory of a country was billions of miles wide. Where is this place? Ning Fan asked again. Snow Country, the place where blood is extracted. Yin Tianjue did not explain. When he appeared, the entire country was shocked. Countless nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm cultivators soared into the sky. There were even 3 void refinement realm old monsters who came to stop them. The Rain Sovereign has given an order. Void fragmentation realm cultivators can only enter the Dragon Deciding Valley once every 10 years. Lord Sword God, please don't make things difficult for us. Get lost. A wave of domineering and sharp aura force spread out from Yin Tianjue's body. His aura force was like a sharp sword. With just a tremble, thousands of nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm cultivators were sent flying with severe injuries. Even the 3 void refinement realm old monsters could not withstand a single wave of Yin Tianjue's aura force. Sword God, please calm down. We won't dare to stop you anymore. Everyone was astonished. Today, Yin Tianjue would not reason with anyone at all. Whoever tries to stop him will die. Even though the Rain Sovereign had given the order, no one dared to use it as a token of authority. No one dared to stop Yin Tianjue from bringing his people into the country. Yin Tianjue was just that domineering. Who did he need to reason with? With a flick of his sleeve, a sword light rose and Yin Tianjue led Ning Fan away, disappearing into the wind and snow. He did not need to reason with anyone. His sword was the reason. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.